last week, it would have been over.
Clearly, we'd have been on our last day. We're still. That's still a work in progress.
Yeah, we're working on it slow but sure.
The 3-day work
to get
week.
it done.
Yeah, we need to do that. By the way, it's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. You can see us on the YouTube. Just go to 101 ESPN STL. Like type in youtube.com, www.youtube.com.
I don't think you have to do the www anymore.
Yeah, I hear commercials with it all the time. People filling time, perhaps. So anyway, go to youtube.com and then in the little search box at YouTube, type in 101 ESPN STL and then hit your return button and it'll go to a screen that shows us. Just click that baby and
lovely face.
Watch the whole show.
Our lovely faces.
We look great. I'm looking right now.
Do we look great?
At us
Hi,
on
everybody.
the
The National League snapped a losing streak in the All-Star game last night. That's good news. Yeah.
Are we clapping for that?
Yeah.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tough, though, for all the Cardinals that, like Adolis Garcia and Randy Arozarena, all the Cardinal guys had to take it on the chin, but that happens.
Yeah. They don't play for the Cardinals anymore, Randy.
Oh, yeah. Darn it.
They won't be here.
Okay.
Friday or something.
Okay. Nolan Arenado will be back.
He'll be back.
Zach Gallen will not.
He won't, unfortunately.
Can he bring some of those guys back? Just court them back in here, you know?
We got a text about that at 6:17 this morning. Somebody was complaining about it and saying that, think about if we had Arozarena and Garcia and Zach Gallen and Goldschmidt and Arenado. And I had to text back and say, well, if you're going to retroactively take back the Ozuna trade, don't you have to kind of retroactively take back the Goldschmidt and Arenado trades too?
Probably.
It kind of felt like, we were talking about superheroes yesterday. It felt like watching maybe an alternate universe of what could have been with the Cardinals, right? If you even talk about Sean Murphy, I know that they were pursuing him a little bit. The other players, Adolis Garcia and Randy Arozarena making great catches, is almost like stepping to an alternate universe of what could have been with the Cardinals.
Brooke, think about the last 15 years when the Cardinals drafted Max Scherzer out of high school and if he would have signed with the Cardinals. Think of how awesome that would have been. You would have had the entire careers of Max Scherzer and Albert Pujols. Think about if they had not allowed Albert Pujols just to walk to the Anaheim.
I think about
Angels.
that a lot. Well, maybe not a lot, but I do think about it at times. Like, why, best player you've had, you let him just, all right, see ya. It's been fun.
Yeah. Think about if they would have selected Walker Buehler rather than Nick Plummer in the draft. How different life would have been. Life could have been dramatically different. Think if they would have taken Mike Trout in the draft. There
are hits and misses in the draft and trades. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you keep going forward. Hopefully, you win more than you lose. That's really the gist of it. If you're able to do that, you're going to have a successful team. When you lose out on Randy Arozarena, I think that one stings a little bit more. Yeah. I mean, he was here. I think that one stings a little bit more than others.
Yeah, and that's somebody the other night was saying, again, it was on the MLB draft, if Tampa Bay calls you and wants to trade you one of their guys for one of your guys, don't do it. Because Yandy Diaz, he played in the All-Star game. He was a Tiger, and the Tigers gave up nothing for him. The Rays have an array of players that they have stolen from other franchises.
What are they doing then when they get over there? They're just giving them more opportunities? Is that all it is?
They've got scouts again. Their pro personnel department is the best. And last year, and I haven't checked this year, last year, people talk about the draft and develop of the Rays. Last year in the playoffs, 26 players, 18 of them came from other organizations.
I can tell you, the Tampa Bay, St. Pete area is beautiful.
It is beautiful. I love it.
It's a change of scenery unlike any other. You drive across that bridge. I forget the name of the bridge from St. Pete to Tampa.
The Skyway.
It is.
Sunshine Skyway.
It's one of the most peaceful drives.
It is.
I used to drive that every morning going into work. It changes your day. It changes your day going home. It's just, there's a peace about being there, and maybe that's part of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe I'm like a worrywart, and I start thinking about, is there somebody currently in the organization the Cardinals are not taking a hard look at that could be the potential next Randy Arozarena or another player?
Could be Dylan Carlson. Cold dead hands.
Well, now, in fairness,
24 years old.
You've had opportunities. That I wouldn't have.
Aaron Judge wasn't even in the majors at this age.
Yeah, well, I understand that. But if he was in the majors, he would be performing. Once he got to the majors, he was performing extremely well. I think the issue that you're having with Dylan Carlson is if he's had opportunities. When you give guys opportunities in the big leagues, like Randy Arozarena didn't have the opportunities with the Cardinals. I think he only had 60 at bats, something like that. And so that's not really an opportunity. Dylan Carlson has had, plenty of opportunities to start, hit, do everything you need from him.
Would you like an outfielder right now that would be hitting .302 with an .844 OPS, 14 homers, 49 RBIs?
Sure.
Like that? Lane Thomas is doing that for the Washington Nationals. Over the course of a couple of years with the Cardinals, he had, let's see, and he did not hit well, 142 plate appearances, and with the Cardinals had a .625 OPS his last 2 years with the Cardinals. His batting averages were, let me get to them. Batting average is not a big deal anymore. 111 and 104.
That's not great.
No, and they moved him, and now he's turned into a really good player.
And sometimes it takes patience, but then sometimes it is a change of scenery. Sometimes it is a change of coaching philosophies that unlock something in a player, and maybe that wasn't here for him to be unlocked. It had to be in another organization.
Well, that's the problem. That's the problem because it's happening with a lot of guys. So, who do you guys think? Who scares you in regards to being in a Arozarena?
In regards to being in a Arozarena?
Yeah, who could turn into the superstar that the Cardinals give up on and trade?
Nolan Gorman.
That's a good one.
He's probably the player on the current roster with the highest upside. Young, talented, can hit the ball, can crush the ball. If you were to move him, he would probably go on to be a superstar. And it would kind of be funny. It would be sad, but it would be funny.
Well, and by the way, last year, by the end of the season, a lot of fans wanted to trade Nolan Gorman. They thought he was a failure.
Yeah.
He needed more opportunities. He's had it, and he's shown the ability. Again, if you want to move on a 23, 24-year-old young man that is really starting to figure some things out, that would be the one, in my opinion, that you could look back and say, what did we get? Why did we do that?
Yeah.
I think some of those outfielders can be potential stars elsewhere. Like, I could even see if you moved away from Lars Nootbaar, him doing what Lane Thomas is doing, when he has a more defined role where he's not moving around in the outfield so much. I feel like that's a lot of these guys, and you talked about it earlier in the season, CD, is a lot of these guys playing out of position or not having a defined role for a long period of time, or where they can build some consistency. I think that maybe say you let go of a Dylan Carlson, Lars Nootbaar, Nolan Gorman even, that when they go elsewhere and they have a clear, defined role, they could find more success. That was what would concern me.
It's a concern.
And let me give you one more. A guy who pitches well in the minors and doesn't pitch well up here, Liberatore.
I don't know.
I thought you were going to say Zuniga. Why haven't they given Zuniga another chance?
I don't know. But Liberatore, 96, 97 in the minors.
What is that?
I don't know. Well, but it might go back to what we're talking about, just a change of scenery, being with a different person that gives you a different outlook and taking a different approach.
I think I would hope if Liberatore, when he gets another opportunity here, he will just – it's so much mental part of the game. I think he's
23.
Yeah, I think it's just sometimes it's so much going on. There are nerves. It's just you're worried, you're concerned, you're thrusted into a role, and now you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be in the starting rotation. Sometimes you do need to go back down to reset yourself, and hopefully when he comes back up, he will show us what we think he's capable of being.
Well, there's some good ones from the text line, too. Someone from the 314 said Burleson will become the next Schwarber. Yep. Somebody else said Juan Yepes.
It could happen.
I don't think so. I know Albert, anointed him the next one. I think he has some potential, but I don't. The fact that he hasn't gotten. I mean, they had no outfield. They had infielders in the outfield, and he still wasn't playing in the outfield. That kind of was a red flag for me to say, he's probably not. He probably needs another position, maybe first base. Maybe he's not an everyday outfielder. And at the plate, not doing what they needed him to do to get those opportunities to play every day.
I would rather not see him in the outfield based off of some of the things we saw. But he could be a fine DH possibly. Tyler O'Neill's another one that people keep bringing up.
If he ever gets healthy.
That's the caveat. If he stays healthy.
I heard he had a bad back.
How long he had that?
About a week back.
It's too early for that. It's too early.
So last night, 9 straight losses by the National League in the All-Star game, but the catcher from the Rockies, Elias Diaz, changed that.
Swing and a high fly ball, left field. That one back. That one way back there. Gone! Elias Diaz, a home run. And the National League has taken a 3-2 lead as he blasts that one out to left.
Boog Shambi the call last night here on 101 ESPN and ESPN Radio. And Diaz wins the All-Star Game Ted Williams MVP award. So congratulations to him and congratulations to the National League.
Finally.
I wonder if when you win the Ted Williams MVP award, if you just cool off a little bit.
Don't do it. I knew something was coming. I thought maybe
Diaz going to get back to Colorado, and he's going to have a head cold.
Knew something was coming.
No.
Oh, you guys.
We're no fun, Randy.
No, you are.
I cannot.
Come on, the splendid winter.
Oh, man. He'll be okay. He'll be good to go.
Diaz will start hitting frozen ropes.
I am flabbergasted right now. Stunned. Frozen?
Frozen, clearly.
Oh, man. So, yeah, it's if you aren't aware of it, down in, of all places, Phoenix, where it's been over 110 degrees for 11 consecutive days, Ted Williams' head is frozen in a cryogenic chamber. Well, not really a cryogenic chamber. His head is frozen atop a tuna can. Well,
isn't that what they always say?
That's what they did. Somebody actually had to use a hammer.
No, they did not.
No.
Yes, they did.
What
it's
are
on
you
the Google
talking
machine.
about?
So he had his family.
I always thought that was like a joke or like a rumor or something with the tuna can.
No, so his head was frozen because his family thought, well, at some point they're going to be able to make a new Ted Williams out of what DNA we have from the current Ted Williams. So if you just do, I think the Google search of note today, if you're driving around when you get to work, maybe as you're driving around on your phone, do the search Ted Williams tuna can and see what shows up.
When I hear frozen people, I think of the movie Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes, where they had the guys frozen and then they unthawed all of the criminals and brought them back to life.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do with Ted.
But I have a question. Why?
Okay.
That's my question. Is why would you want to do that?
Because they want to get the DNA when the technology is available to develop a new Ted Williams so that you have a hitter that's as good as Juan Soto.
I don't think that's what they were.
I think that's it. I think that's what they want.
That's what they were going for.
Wouldn't that be funny if all of a sudden there was just a player that popped up that looked just like him and it was his name is like, I don't know, Teddy Wilhelm or something like that, like slightly change it, and he wears like a necklace to cover up separation.
So here's part of the book that was written. Williams' head was being transferred from one container to another when the monkey wrench incident took place. The monkey wrench incident was they took a monkey wrench to smack the tuna can off the bottom of his head.
No.
Yes. In the book Frozen, My Journey into the World of Cryonics, Deception, and Death, the author says he watched an Alcor official swing a monkey wrench at Williams' frozen severed head to try to remove a tuna can stuck to it. The first swing accidentally struck the head, and the second knocked the tuna can loose.
Okay.
So,
Why a tuna can?
Well, why not? It's
I feel like that's an expensive procedure for a tuna can to be.
Tuna's not expensive.
I'm talking about the procedures expensive.
To put it on a tuna can, it sounds like the cheap route.
I'm sorry. I mean, there's no way that that's a cheap procedure. And to find they use a monkey wrench and tuna can, I would be pretty upset about that.
Yeah, but you know
I
what?
would haunt those people.
Here's the thing, though.
It's on the internet.
But it was Ted Williams. So strike one, but then he wasn't going to.
You're gonna miss twice.
It was a frozen rope, and so this is this is funny. And by the way, description here is absolutely wonderful. Johnson said that the Alcor employee tried in vain to remove the tuna can. Quote, he tried to grab a monkey wrench, heaved a mighty swing, missing the tuna can completely, but hitting the head dead center.
Oh, my God.
Where was the NDAs for this? Like,
I don't know.
None.
And then the guy says that the head looked nothing like any picture of Ted Williams I had ever seen. Well, of course, it was frozen and dead.
Was there any damages done to the head when you hit it with a monkey wrench?
Yes, and it's described, but I'm not going to read about it.
Okay. Is it that bad?
Okay, here you go.
it's 7:15 in the morning. It's 7:15.
Johnson wrote, tiny pieces of frozen head sprayed around the room.
Ooh.
Guys, it's 7:15 in the morning.
I'm reading it from a book.
There aren't any kids in the car. They are in summer.
Yeah.
This is summer.
Yeah.
Look, we got to be a little more level-headed about this.
No, it wasn't a level. It was a monkey wrench.
Oh, man.
Oh, coming up here on 101 ESPN. Sorry to alarm you about frozen head jokes so early in the morning.
Our Google search histories on our work computers are going to be so weird.
Ted Williams tuna can. I mean, what could go wrong? Coming up next, it's Ask Uncle Randy. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. If you have Ask Uncle Randy questions, if you have frozen head questions, maybe you just need some Sudafed or something. You got a head cold? That's what they should have used, not a monkey wrench. Sudafed. Look at a head cold. That's next on 101 ESPN.
Got a question for Uncle Randy? Let him Dive into his infinite well filled with wisdom to find you answers. Text 314-399-9646. It's Ask Uncle Randy on 101 ESPN.
I've been around, you know.
I was getting Ask Uncle Randy questions on the old text machine this morning at like 6:15 or something. People need their early. No, that's a different text machine. This is the home text machine. We're doing Ask Uncle Randy. So I provide all the help that I can, and we are here for you. That's one thing about the opening drive is that we are concerned about your well-being. So if you want to text Cousin Carrie and Aunt Brooke and Uncle Randy, feel free to do so. The text line is open, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. Matthew, what do you got for us, brother?
He's got it. You know what he's got? He's got to be more enthused about
Yes,
this
he
yo-ho.
does. Yeah.
I'm sorry, the yo-ho is like the power play dance in my mind.
Yeah.
I love the music, but I love the audio. I just can't do the tactile
Come on.
celebration. It's not for
It
me,
gets
Carrie.
some
I'm sorry.
extra work in the morning, you know?
Okay, fair enough. Dear Uncle Randy, I'm actually going to split this one up into two parts. Dear Uncle Randy, can STL experience an Austin or Nashville-like economic growth and recovery?
Yes, but it will not happen without a merger between the city and the county. It won't happen without having safety of the police force. And by the way, this isn't just the city and the county. It's the 53 municipalities that would have to buy in. But yes, it is possible. We would need to have our airport improved dramatically. We would obviously need to have a better scenario for bringing corporations in. That includes, Brooke, they still do the 1% tax in the city, right? If you work in the city, you pay a 1% tax?
I believe so. And they just added an entertainment tax, too, which has been interesting.
Spread that out. Yeah. I was talking to somebody in county government. And by the way, it's really interesting because everybody in corporate St. Louis wants a merger. If St. Louis City and St. Louis County would merge, and St. Louis City has experienced the city of St. Louis, progressive population decline every single year since 1969. If the county and the city would merge, St. Louis would be the 11th biggest city with the 54th highest crime rate.
I say it all the time because people ask me whenever I tell them I'm from Nashville, people are like, oh my God, I love it. I love it there. And the first thing I say to them is, well, St. Louis could do exactly what Nashville did. And they're like, no, I mean, Nashville's the music city. If you guys have ever been to Nashville prior and you saw Broadway, what it used to be is not what it is now. And it was in direct correlation with merging Davidson County and city. And once that started happening and there was a belief in local politicians and bringing in tourism revenue actually would help the city and then the county. That's when things really started exploded. And then you also had more businesses come in because guess what? A healthy downtown leads to younger professionals wanting to come in. More younger professionals come in. Where do those big businesses want to go? Amazon, Nissan, all those giant companies, which also means more corporate sponsorships for things like your sports teams.
Yep. I'm glad that you have that perspective for us growing up there and understanding it. And Kansas City has done the same thing. It was Austin. What was the other city?
Nashville.
So you've got Austin, you've got Nashville, you've got KC, Omaha, Louisville, Indianapolis.
It's worked out.
The reason that Indianapolis is the amateur sports capital of America is because of what we're talking about. They merged the city and the county.
And they've at least kind of started on the airport side. They got that whole plan that's going to go over the next 2 decades to kind of redo the terminals and everything.
Nashville did the same thing with their airport. They improved that for a really long time. And also an advantage that St. Louis has over Nashville, because Nashville's experienced too much growth to the point where there's a lot of traffic and it takes a long time to get places. St. Louis already has public transit in place, ready to go. Nashville doesn't have that.
Good point.
With their downtown.
Which also needs to be safer. But yes, the bones are there for this region to be a really great region.
Part two was if we experience that kind of growth, could we get an NBA team?
Yes. If you get corporate support and you turn around and Carrie, I want you to weigh in here, but if you turn around the population decrease, Yes, absolutely. We're the biggest TV market without an NBA team.
It would be fantastic for all of St. Louis. Obviously, there are a lot of St. Louis. There are a lot of fans, basketball fans in this area, and we would love that if the people could come together and make a decision that was best for the city as opposed to what's best for themselves. It's going to be difficult to tell all of the different mayors of all of these different municipalities that you no longer have power and now you all have to work together.
Right.
It's always about power and the power struggle amongst people as opposed to what's best for the people. And that's generally what causes issues and things preventing from happening, like things like this from happening.
And also, you want to keep that younger generation here instead of wanting them to go move to more fun, exciting other cities. Don't you want to keep young professionals here so they will continue to grow the area? Because what St. Louis has is a diehard, as you mentioned, CD, sports fan base. Lean into that. Add more revenue into that. Make it a better place downtown for sports where people can easily walk from, City SC Stadium over to Busch Stadium to Enterprise Center. And when you have the Battlehawks back in town, if you also help with, I don't know, maybe fixing up the dome a little bit.
Yeah.
Attracting more big events. I don't know.
You're asking for.
And by the way, Seattle is number 12.
Am I asking too much?
Seattle's 12.
Okay.
We're 24 in terms of market size. What's next?
Gotta wonder how bad Nashville's public transportation is that St. Louis is a plus comparatively. Dear Uncle Randy, how do I convince my wife that Saturday mornings are for golf with the boys?
Well, you have 2 days off. Now, I wish I knew your family situation and whether or not you had like 12-year-old kids that needed to be taken to games and things like that. But if you and your wife are without kids at the moment, and it is a tradition, an understood tradition, that you get together with the boys on Saturday morning to play golf, I think that you need to say, okay, I love you and I love spending time with you, but I also like to spend time with my friends, and I would like to go out and play golf with them. And the one opportunity that we all have to be together is on Saturday mornings. Is this something that we can work with? I would try to couch it that way. And hopefully she'll be amenable to that, because happy husband equals happy life.
What if she's not?
She's not happy? Is that what you're saying?
Then you just get up early and go.
Just dip out. I don't know if that would go over any better. Randy.
A relationship has two people in it, and both parties are supposed to be looked after.
Yeah.
At some point.
Right.
It can't always be one party looking after the other, because then
Speak your
that
truth,
party
Gary.
feels a little neglected.
Exactly.
And then you have things start to arise.
Issues arise,
Yep.
yes.
So
It has
be kind.
happened.
Treat your partner the way you would want to be treated.
Dear Uncle Randy, I recently discovered that a family member buys Domino's pizza every Sunday, freezes it, and eats it for dinner every night of the week. Is that healthy? And what food would you eat every night if you could?
Probably not particularly healthy.
Intriguing.
Yeah, it's kind
That's
of
the most bachelor thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
That
well,
is.
and freezing
Oh my
it. I mean, just
God.
put it in the fridge and go from there.
Sunday. So is it cheaper on Sundays? Is that why this person is buying pizzas on Sunday, and or is that just their meal prep? Maybe it's their meal prep. I do meal prep on Sundays, and prepare for the week.
Yeah, so Domino's pizza.
A lot easier meal
Okay,
prep.
this is going to sound really weird coming from me.
Okay.
But the one thing that I would do every night, that I could do and sustain over the course of time, well, there's actually two things. Number one actually would be something that's salad based with lettuce, and then just get your protein in there, and have some candied walnuts or whatever, gorgonzola cheese. And protein could be salmon, chicken, whatever. I could go that direction with different dressings. Or the other thing I could do is tacos.
Every day?
I think so.
Tacos
Different kinds of
every day.
tacos, yeah.
I don't know if there's anything I could eat every day.
Mine is easy. Rice. I love rice.
That's a
I
good
could have
call, yeah.
rice with every meal and be a happy little camper.
I get tired of stuff after 2-3 days.
Yeah, that's why I like, if you do, you can't do ribeye every day. It'll kill
No,
you.
it'd be
And it's
too
great
heavy
once a
on you.
week, yeah. But there's a lot of days where I do chicken and broccoli, like grilled chicken and broccoli.
I just lied.
You can
I
just
could
put
eat
that on
sea
a taco.
bass every day.
Okay.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
You could
I'm
eat
with
what?
you on that
Sea
one.
bass.
But tacos,
Oh,
see,
that's
tacos,
like very specific.
tacos is the smart play. Pork, chicken, beef, shrimp, cod. You can even get sea bass and make some tacos. Like tacos is the answer.
I do like tacos.
You can do
though, 'cause
crunchy. You can do
right.
soft.
Right. You have
Options.
you have a multitude of options.
No, you picked sea bass,
Well,
Edie.
yeah, I did.
Well,
All right. Yeah.
Is there anybody
So
else
sea
there?
bass for life for you.
Forever. I get stuck on an island. Hopefully, there I can go get my. Yeah.
I just wonder if there's anybody else that would do tacos every day. That would like.
That's a good choice though.
Thank you.
You can have
Because
breakfast tacos,
You
dinner
have a lot of
tacos.
options, different types of meats, different types of, like you said, hard or soft shell.
Yeah.
Randy, this last one comes from texter Ted. He says, Uncle
Hi, Ted.
Randy, what's the best cure for brain freeze? The monkey wrench didn't work.
Oh my god!
Oh, just
By the way,
give us some time to thaw.
I was going to say, legitimately though, tongue on the top of your roof, because as we learn, and I discovered now, I've always wondered, why does that work? Mickey Sudu told us it works because that's the part that if the top of your mouth gets cold, that's why you get brain freeze. That's why the tongue on top of the roof of the mouth works. So the key is to eat your ice cream so fast it never touches the roof of your mouth. That's what we learned.
Mickey Sudo, the preeminent female eater in the world, she won the Slurpee competition, right? MLE. I think we asked her about brain freeze.
Yeah.
Or was it ice cream? It was ice cream.
It was like 9 cartons in like a minute and a half, and it's
Jeez.
like, how did you not get
How
brain
is that?
freeze? And
How do you
she
eat that?
broke that down.
How do you survive that?
I have
Like, how
no
do you?
idea.
How do you?
You're a well-conditioned athlete.
You are. It's a different type of conditioning.
So Mickey is a record. Ice cream short form, 16 and a half pints of vanilla ice cream at the Indiana State Fair in 6 minutes. 16 and a
my
half pints
God.
in 6 minutes. She pulled that off. Actually, the anniversary is tomorrow. July 13th of 2017 is when she did it.
You're telling me they split up the competitions as the short form and long form?
They have
like
the
it's-
short form.
like it's piece writing for a magazine. What the heck is going on?
Wouldn't be great.
That's amazing, honestly.
Long form and short. What kind of major league eater are you? I'm only doing long form. I need 30 minutes at least. I can't do those minute and a half competitions. Those people are crazy.
Oh, we got to find out what the long form is. We will do that here. Martin Kilcoyne over at the Two Fox had John Mozeliak on his show after the game last night. You guys both stayed up to watch it. I did not.
Wow.
I figured it was just going to be more of the same.
It's slightly different.
That
But
might
I-
not be wrong.
I had to tune in because I told you guys the other day, Martin Kilcoyne is the king of the tease. TV teases, that is.
Yeah.
And so I had to stay up and watch that.
So Marty used to have a guy that worked with him, and maybe Marty will text in because I have forgotten the gentleman's name. But during the Greatest Show on Turf era, this guy would always have a nickname for Marty Marr. So he'd say, "Back to you, Marty Marr, 50 gram pots and pans." I don't remember what the guy's name was. So I either call Martin Kilcoyne Marty Marr. Most of the time I call him 50 grand. Sometimes I call him pots and pans. But yeah, Marty Marr. I got to think of the guy's name now. I think he's in Washington doing news now. But I will have that name for you. And we'll have Martin Kilcoyne's. And we're going to also look up long-form ice cream eating, too.
You have a lot
we
to
got
do.
a lot to do during this break. And then we'll hear from Marty Marr, 50 gram pots and pans, coming up on 101 ESPN. Hey, let's talk real estate for a minute. If you need a reliable, experienced, and trusted agent, take it from me and get to know Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Here's why you should call, because Gloria is going to provide great service. You know, if you ask me to recommend a great restaurant, that's easy. If you ask me to recommend a great real estate agent, that's also a no-brainer. I always refer to my friends and family to Gloria Liu, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. No one else even comes close. She has the buyers already. Gloria has upfront written guarantees, and Gloria's name is her promise. If she can't sell your home at your price and your time frame, she's going to buy it, and that's guaranteed in writing. Give Gloria Liu a call at 314-325-6888. 314-325-6888, or find her on the web at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Thousands of ready buyers are ready to buy your home. She has over 20 years of buyers in her database looking to buy in your neighborhood and your price range. It's Gloria Liu, 314-325-6888 at gloriahasthebuyers.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Last night, the NL breaking a losing streak since 2013, wins the All-Star game 3-2. They get a big home run late in the game to put them up for good. Nolan Arenado for the St. Louis Cardinals started at third base, and he went 0 for 2 before being pulled. Cardinals are back in action on Friday evening, starting a series against the Washington Nationals for the second half of the season. 7:15 is the first pitch there. And tonight, St. Louis City SC is back in action, facing off against LAFC on the West Coast. It's a 9:30 kickoff tonight, St. Louis time. Coming up later on the opening drive, 2006 World Series champion David Eckstein joins the show at 8:15. 2011 World Series champion pitcher Kyle McClellan at 8:45, and STL City Sporting Director Lutz Pfannenstiel joining Carrie, Brooke, and Randy at 9:30. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads, shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Why weren't you guys more aggressive in terms of adding pitching?
Well, a couple of reasons. Some of the pitchers that we did chase, we just weren't able to get done. And then the other was we really wanted to give some of these guys an opportunity. And you know, when you're trying to give your internal guys, I think the hindsight is probably should have had some depth though to cover for it.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable hindsight. That's John Mozeliak last night on Fox 2 with Martin Kilcoyne after the All-Star game, talking about how the Cardinals, and by the way, this is something that John Mozeliak denied during the winter warm-up, that the Cardinals were pursuing pitching. Now he says that they did pursue pitching. So maybe he just misremembered. I'm not sure. You can find that cut, right, Matthew?
From winter warm-up?
Yeah. But the other part of it is Ted Simmons is a brilliant man, Hall of Famer, Cardinal, and he was the general manager of the Pirates many years ago, and he had a heart attack and never had a chance to become a general manager again. But one thing that he told me is that for the young players that he had that were coming along, and these were people like Bonds and Bonilla, he wanted to sign veteran players just in case those players were overwhelmed, to give them a little bit of a break. And I do think that it's important, rather than putting a young pitcher on the spot when one of your top 5 goes down, to have a veteran, a depth pitcher to help those guys out. Now, wouldn't have worked for me because I would have signed Jose Quintana, right? But I get in 2020 hindsight where he's coming from and where people are coming from, to have that level of depth behind the young pitchers just in case they don't work out.
I would say, to your first point about him saying they didn't try to get starting pitchers, that may have been him not wanting to tip his cap and tip his hand and show what he was doing, and also not be not let his starting pitchers that were already on the roster know, hey, we're trying to replace you, even though as players we know you're always trying to replace us. And unfortunately they didn't get it done. To your other point, when you have young players and they're thrusted into a position where they have to start or they have to be extremely successful right away, some people can. When you're a superstar, it doesn't matter when you begin, you're going to be a superstar. But sometimes it takes those younger players a year or two, some seasoning, some games under their belt, some at bats, some starts, to understand how to be a professional, how to do all of the things that come with being a professional athlete, not just on the field, but off the field as well.
And hindsight's always 20/20, and he's also mentioned that in recent interviews. My one issue with the kind of putting all your eggs in the basket of these other players is saying that was the plan all along, is that you were completely fine with competition in other areas. They embraced the competition when it came to the outfield, all these other positions. They were fine coming into the season with a logjam in all these other areas except for pitchers.
Right.
And that's where I kind of get, and that's where I kind of am lost on that part. And you're putting your eggs in the basket of guys who haven't been fully healthy. Some of them, Steven Matz, you even look at Jack Flaherty. And so that's where I kind of call into questions what he's saying there, because once again, competition with literally every other position going into the season except for pitching.
Okay. And an older Adam Wainwright.
Yes.
Right. Okay, I'm going to play that cut for you again. But first, this is John Mozeliak on the Cardinals' pursuit of free agent starting pitching in January.
It also includes his comments about the young pitching.
Got it.
There were some things we discussed where obviously there were some pitchers on the market that we think would have been impactful, and if you added them to our rotation, would have been a difference maker. Unfortunately, we were not able to sign one of them. But overall, when you look at our rotation right now, we're pretty excited about it. And I also, as I said earlier, there are some young guys in that bullpen that also started last year. I mean, if you think about a guy like a Palante, Libator, and others that are hoping, Woodford, or hoping, maybe to get that opportunity. But right now, we're 6 deep with probably 4 or 5 other pitchers trying to compete for innings. And, a name we obviously didn't speak a whole lot about last year and for reasons of injuries and so forth was, Verhagen.
And obviously, Drew Verhagen has not found himself into the starting rotation either. So the Cardinals obviously weren't able to find their guys. So you've got the problem with the starting rotation. You've got the problem that you weren't able to get the depth of starting pitching. And then you have the issue of last night where you have Adolis Garcia and Randy Arozarena both starting for the American League in the All-Star game, both coming to the Cardinals and both giving the Cardinals little, or in the case of Garcia, no return on investment. So Mo was asked by Martin Kilcoyne about those stars who have left the organization.
Well, I think, at the time, the where we thought our outfield was going to look like has not achieved Garcia has, or even Arozarena. And, you try to pick the right players. At the time, I think O'Neill and Bader were both more valued than them at the time of those deals. And, now things have changed. And, you're trying to get it right. You really are. But, clearly those look like mistakes.
I would say that they do.
Yeah, especially since one is not here in Bader and the other one is often injured. It does seem like a mistake. And again, I don't know that I can fault him in the time. Tyler O'Neill was a top 10 MVP candidate. When he's healthy and playing, that's what you can get from him now. Randy Arozarena is a two-time All-Star at this point, or one-time, two-time All-Star, ALCS MVP, Rookie of the Year. He has a lot more things under his belt than what Tyler O'Neill has, but I can see the comparison of the two and why you would think Tyler O'Neill could be the better one. Harrison Bader was a star in the center field. You felt like he would be here for many years, but now he's not. And so it is an evaluation, and it's also guys just performing to their capability. I think if both of those guys perform, talking about Bader and O'Neill, to the levels at which they could possibly both be in the same category as what you have from Garcia and Arozarena.
I find it troubling, though, that the two players were given a lot of money to come out of Cuba, and the Cardinals have gotten no return virtually on Latin players that they have signed, whether it's Cuban guys. Oviedo was here for a little while.
Yeah.
Obviously, Garcia and Arozarena go. Jonathan Machado was a washout in the Cardinal organization. I wonder if at some point they say, you know what, this isn't working for us. The Latin international market isn't working for us. We should concentrate on something else, because they clearly didn't want those particular players in their organization because they got rid of them. If you wanted them, you wouldn't have gotten rid of them. So you have to wonder what their end game is when they spend a bunch of money in the international market, because they are going with a budget. They live with that.
I'm trying to think about who currently, Latin player-wise, that you could say that they went out and pursued in the same way they did as Randy Arozarena and Johan Oviedo and Ivan Herrera. I guess you have Ivan Herrera still here within the organization.
Yeah, they haven't had success. They've never had a guy that the closest they've had to have getting a full year out of a player in terms of playing was Aledmus Diaz. But they really have not succeeded. And that's, I think, an issue. When you look at the Latin players that, for example, the Nationals, they have Robles and Soto when they win the World Championship. You look at Ronald Acuna with Atlanta and the success that they're having. You know, just get one guy, have it work, but it hasn't. We're going to talk more about this coming up at 8 o'clock, but next up, get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO! Take it or leave it next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you're looking for a sensational lunch today at a cool spot, literally and figuratively, I need you to stop by the Fenton Bar and Grill at 701 Rudder Road in Fenton. I'm a big fan and a big customer at the Fenton Bar and Grill. I always love to get those trash wings, which are the best in town. You can stop by, pick them up, and check out their signature golden sauce. Try that with the wings, and you will absolutely love it. And if you aren't a sauce person, you want to just go with ranch, they'll take care of you with that as well. And on a cool day like this, you want to check out that Fenton Barn Grill chef salad. Ham and smoked turkey, red onions, tomato, shredded cheddar, and croutons. It's absolutely delicious. It's something that you will love when you stop by the Fenton Barn Grill. You'll also love the service that you get from Alicia and Kelly and Megan and Colleen. They'll all be there, and they'll take care of you in the best way possible. Not only do you get great service and great food, but great sports at the Fenton Barn Grill as well. The group there they're huge sports fans. Everybody from management, Chuck, on down to every customer love talking sports at the Fenton Barn Grill. So if you want a place to hang out, have a cold beer, if you want to have a great lunch, a business lunch, or just a happy hour dinner, it's the Fenton Barn Grill. Start at the soccer park, follow the roads over to the Fenton Barn Grill. Tell them Randy sent you, and you'll enjoy a spectacular lunch at the Fenton Barn Grill.
It's time for Take It or Leave It.
Want to say something? Put it out there. If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your Take It or Leave It.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
All right, time for Thioli here on 101 ESPN with Brooke and Carrie. I'm Randy. Matthew is here, and we're taking your text. Take it or leave it. Next year, 2024 opening day, the Cardinals have the same manager and coaching staff.
Opening day 2024?
Mm-hmm.
Manager and coaching staff?
Yes.
I'm going to leave it because I think that there's going to be changes made.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I was reading these cuts from Mo. I mean, talking about Marmol and the staff, and he said he doesn't blame the coaching staff. It's not their fault. So I'm going to leave it.
Do we also need to bring up that he also said something different in winter warm-up that he also, I don't know.
Well,
there's been
you have the right to change your mind. The more that you get more information, you have the right to change your mind when you get more information.
The information was there, whether or not they pursued starting pitchers during free agency.
Well,
he was a part of that information.
Oh, okay.
Can I give you another interesting note here?
Yes.
And we'll talk about this at 8 o'clock. This is a quote. We went into the season thinking O'Neill, Carlson, and Nootbaar would be our starting outfield, our everyday outfield. Again.
What?
We went into the season thinking O'Neill, Carlson, and Nootbaar would be our everyday outfield.
Jordan Walker started on opening day.
That's what I thought.
What the hell is he?
Do you see what I'm saying now? Do you see what I'm saying?
I get it.
Okay, yeah, I get it. Here. Huh? That's confusing.
He said it.
There was other players around, that's weird.
So then therein lies the answer that we've been wondering. It was all for show. Mm-hmm. The opening day starting and getting Jordan Walker here. He was never meant to be the everyday starter to start the season.
I'm not even sure how many games they played together, O'Neill, Carlson, and Nootbaar. But I think in aggregate, they've missed over 125 games. How do you plan for that? A young Jordan Walker steps up. Certainly a young, exciting player, but he's still learning the game. So there's going to be some patience there. Well, Nootbaar, O'Neill, and Carlson were all healthy on opening day, were they not? And Jordan Walker started?
He did.
Okay.
Intriguing.
Sorry. That's just me.
Yeah. What the hell do we know? We just learned the art of pitching a couple weeks ago.
Good point.
All right. So Rocc showed me this message, this tweet about Victor Wembanyama saying the NBA isn't as physical as it is over in Europe.
Oh.
Take it or leave it. Just wait till the regular season starts, buddy.
I'll take that.
I'm going to take that one. Did he really say that?
He said that, yeah. And the funny thing is like he's going to end up playing like the Trailblazers, and a European by the name of Yusuf Nurkic, who's like 7 feet, 300 pounds, is going to knock him on his ass repeatedly throughout the game. He's going to be like, okay, well, then.
How many Summer League games has he played?
Two. And it's his Summer League.
Okay,
and in the very first Summer League game, there was a really bad clip where he literally tried to pivot, and a guy bumped into him as he was trying to pivot, and he falls down.
Big man falls down.
I mean, and he falls down. He looked like a praying mantis. Had a leg cut out from under him. How just like Shaquille O'Neal, like uncoordinated the fall was. Just not smart, my friend. Not smart.
Take it or leave it. A lot of people talking about on social media the uniforms, right? And look, that's always a big discussion. I think we all can be in agreement that we would just rather the players, just play in their uniform, so it kind of is easier to identify instead of whatever that monstrosity was. Because the National League uniform, was it designed by the same people who designed the Great Britain uniform? Because it
Might
was.
have been.
Well, the letters weren't falling
Yeah,
off.
it was pretty
worse.
bad.
These are worse than the Great Britain uniform.
So I have an idea. Take it or leave it. Players go back to wearing their team's uniforms, but to add a little bit of a flair, they get to pick their favorite uniform that the teams wear.
Yeah, I'll take that.
So if you're the Cardinals and you're on the road, you get to wear. You might want to wear the baby blues.
And so then people can be like, "Oh, this is Nolan Arenado's favorite. He likes the blues."
I like that
and now
idea.
I feel like it would help with sales even more. Well, not that people aren't buying a bunch of Arenado jerseys, but it adds that little bit when you're like, "Oh, this is the one that Nolan likes."
How about this, Brooke? How about if you get to wear the jersey of the team you really want to play for?
You get to wear somebody else's jersey.
Oh man.
You're onto something
That
there.
would start some controversy, huh?
I like your idea, though. I think that's a smart idea. Were those last night the worst jerseys? First of all, fashion faux pas, navy over black, total fashion faux pas.
I didn't think it was terrible.
Hated it, too.
I hated it.
Worst jerseys in the history of sport.
I didn't think it was terrible. I just, it is what it is.
I hated it.
What is that sound
too.
outside? What
They're
is
doing
that, a
some
crane?
construction work.
Or cows?
So, what do we got on
I hope there's not just cows roaming around in cream.
No.
Yeah, that'd be kind of
Crab
entertaining.
Ready to say, I like it when you call it sport.
Yeah.
With no S. In sport.
The worst. The worst.
It's very British of you.
And this is coming from a guy who. It is an interesting sound.
It's like somebody's pulling a table.
It's coming from a guy who, as an avowed Red Wings hater, and I think that they're the stupidest. Like, what? Why do you have a wing and a wheel? It makes no sense. But the Red Wings thing is red on red is just horrible. But this was even worse.
Take it or leave
And
it.
by the way, colorblind too.
Well, black goes with everything, Randy. That's what they told me.
us. Yeah.
It doesn't go with dark navy blue.
Sure it does.
It's the one thing it doesn't go with.
Even I caught that.
Come on
Okay.
now. What are you dressing? Stop it, man. Come on. Save yourself.
What did you just say? Did you just say what?
What are you dressing like? Save yourself. Take it or leave it. Roman Berkey wins the MVP if City wins the Western Conference.
Take it.
Take it.
Should
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I was still trying to figure out if he was just mocking your sense of style.
I was, yeah.
It's okay.
If Kerry walks in here and he wears dark navy blue with black, I'll make fun of him the whole show for it.
I'll do it.
Do it
Maybe
tomorrow.
not tomorrow. I got to see if I got any navy blue.
I could do it.
There you go. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. DeYoung has a Matt Carpenter-like resurgent wearing a Doyers uniform next
Leave it.
season.
Leave it.
Interesting. I'm going to leave it as well. But
So this is intriguing because if DeYoung does do that, right? He goes out there and has an all-star season. How upset are coaches? Why did we get rid of him?
Very
What
upset.
are we doing?
Very
Why?
upset.
You don't know anything. You have watched this man play for a number of years, and you have wanted to get rid of him.
Yep.
And then when he finally does leave, and if he goes somewhere, that's sports. Or as Randy, sport.
Yeah.
It's just how things go.
Sport.
It's not always fair. It's not always right. There is no certain math arithmetic you can do to make sure everything works properly. It just happens, man. Deal with it.
Speaking of sports, someone pointed this out when we were talking about earlier about the opening day roster. I forgot about this. Burleson was elevated far beyond Carlson on opening day 2.
Yep, good point. Yeah.
Burley.
He was elevated above Walker for some
And Yepes.
really weirdly. Yeah. And Yepes. Take it or leave it. There will be more interest locally in college football this year since the Cardinals are so bad.
I'll take it. Yes. And this is a big year for
ILL.
INI, but it's also a big year for Drink. I think up or down is going to be a big year for him. So I think there'll be interest because here you're looking at you've got two schools that are accessible in the Big Two, the Power Two, and it'll be interesting to see how they compete. Thank you, Matthew.
Oh, somebody said take it or leave it. In-game interviews are the best. I personally think they're really weird.
I like it.
Depends.
Like the one on the field.
Guy.
Yeah.
Chief with Panger were priceless.
I thought he was talking about the
Yeah.
baseball ones where they're talking to the guy
While he's playing.
in the field.
Oh, Soto was really good last night, I thought. I thought.
Are you talking about the pitcher being mic'd
Well, I mean,
up?
they had Goldie mic'd up during the London game when he was playing first base.
And he was
they had
good.
guys out in the
He was
outfield.
He was
no
actually
problem with
good.
that.
Yeah.
Let you know how much you guys can do. Because I wouldn't be able to talk in between a play. Well, I got to block this defensive end.
How about Hader?
I got to go block him.
Yeah.
Hader was really impressive.
Yeah.
You could do it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to.
I still think the best one was Waino. Remember?
For the pregame?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
fantastic. It was great. Coming up, we've got more from Martin Kilcoyne's interview with John Mozeliak and a really interesting dichotomy with the Cardinals between what has been said previously and what is being said now. That's next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here. This past winter, my father went through hip and then back surgery. After being active his whole life biking and competing in triathlons, as he got older, the wear and tear led to constant pain and limited mobility. But finally, after getting surgery, he is back to moving around pain-free. He even visited with my mom this past weekend, and he was able to get around great. He says he wishes that he would have done it sooner. You might be in a similar situation, just putting it off, but anyone who has suffered from serious back or joint pain knows how hard it can be to find lasting relief. Here's the thing, though. You don't have to live in pain. You can find that relief at SSM Health Orthopedics. They are the experts at diagnosing and treating joint problems, offering many treatment options, including non-surgical techniques to find the best solution for you so that you can get back to doing the things that you love. So don't wait today. Visit SSM Health/Top Ortho today for more information and to find lasting relief.
101 ESPN. A fresh perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
Brought to you by Schnucks Rewards. Reward yourself. Earn 2% back on every purchase with the Schnucks Rewards app.
In St. Louis, your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Just a little paperwork to clean up here. Rob Desir was the guy who coined the name for Martin Kilcoyne, Marty Marr 50 grand pots and pans. And we had talked about the ice cream eating record for the long form ice cream eating record for MLE, and it's 1.6 gallons of ice cream in 10 minutes. 1.6 gallons. So yeah, pretty impressive.
Awful.
MLE record. Pretty good, huh?
Sounds awful.
Oh my gosh.
And that's why we were talking about the brain freeze.
Is that why we were talking about brain freeze?
I think that's
yes.
So, yeah.
Well, we were talking about short form and long form, and how much was too much. Clearly.
Yeah. John Mozeliak joined Martin Kilcoyne after the All-Star game last night on the 2 Fox. And by the way, the All-Star game won by the National League 3-2 over the American League, snapping a 9-game losing streak. And one of the things that John Mozeliak was asked of by Martin Kilcoyne was the frustration that you, as fans, are experiencing with him.
I still speak to groups, and I'm still out there, and I think when they're face to face with you, they have empathy and feel bad for where you are. I think when you go online and you read what people are writing about you, yeah, there's real anger, and I'm sure a lot of people are calling for my job, and I can understand that to some level. I mean, it hasn't been a good year.
Tell folks why you feel you can get this turned around. People that are criticizing you, if you wanted to address your critic, what would you say?
Well, I think, I have a pretty good resume. I think the history of our decision-making overall has been pretty good. And I think, the best way to approach this is, recognize that you do have a problem, admit it, and then try to find a solution. And, we understand that. And I'm not trying to sit here with you right now and try to defend what we did and blame other people. I know that we made mistakes, and we're going to try to get it right.
I would say that the preponderance of the Cardinals' decision-making over the last 4 or 5 years is definitely open to question, if not criticism. I don't think that when you look at free agency, granted, the Arenado and Goldschmidt trades are great, but when you look at the overall decision-making process, in terms of who's gone out and who's come in, I don't think it is that great.
Well, we've been talking about the free agents. You're looking at what's happening with Wilson Contreras. We're not even through the season, and we've seen the turmoils of bringing him in as a free agent. But we've listed some of the other players as well. Brett Cecil, Leak is another one.
Andrew Miller.
Dexter Fowler, Andrew Miller, as you mentioned. That's when it starts to become a concern. When there's a trend and a pattern, that's when it's concerning, where you do start to call into question, okay, maybe what are you doing when it comes to evaluating talent that you're bringing in to the organization as a free agent?
And why couldn't the Cardinals make a guy like Lane Thomas work, right? Lane Thomas would be one of the starting 3 outfielders for the Cardinals right now, and they trade him for John Lester.
Well, I think it's 2 parts to it. I mean, I think that one part is you do need to develop the players, and you do need to figure out a way to make sure that you get the guys in here and they become the superstars or the stars that you evaluated them as. But I think the second part is sometimes when people leave an organization, there's a fire lit in you to be better at your next stop. We talked about it with Brana and Kasperi Kapanen. When they got here to St. Louis, you saw a little bit more energy than I think you probably expected, or maybe their former teams were like, where the hell was that at? Why didn't we get that? It's because as a player, when you get cut or when you get traded, you're going to a new place, and your mindset is, oh my God, this could be over sooner rather than later. I got to really fire it up. So now, again, when you get those guys that are moving to different places, that could be a part of it. And in return, the Cardinals got some guys that had already had some success, and maybe they're not as motivated to stay as successful as they were in their first place.
Now, one of the other often criticized aspects of the Cardinals is that they don't spend enough. Although, if you look this year at how teams have spent, it's not like the Padres and the Mets are lighting things up. Mozeliak on the Cardinals' use of money.
Has the bar lowered from we're going to win a title to we're going to win a division?
No, I think people equate bold with spending, and I don't know if that's the fairest way to look at it, but there's many.
Or maybe aggressive. Maybe is that
again? It's however you want to phrase it. There are many teams out there that outspend us or out-aggressive us, and they're finding themselves in similar situations. So,
is there still that urgency to win each year?
I mean, I think I hear that more, that maybe we are more complacent or maybe are arrogant in the fact that we've had the success we've had. But I assure you, even when we look at what we put together on paper, it should have worked better, but it didn't.
So why didn't it work better? That'd be my question. If it should have worked better, then why didn't it work better?
Well, and I agree with him to, you look at the other teams in the league, you look at the Mets and the Padres and the money that they've spent, and it hasn't exactly worked out. But you look at the Rangers, and that's a story of how they spent money, but they were also very strategic in the way that they did it and seemed to put a lot of things in place, including, I will give credit to Mike Maddox because a lot of the players do, bringing him over and how that's helped the pitching staff. And look at how that pitching staff has succeeded. I think that you don't have to be bold all the time in the way of spending. I'll agree with him on that. But then it calls into question some of the strategic moves, putting those tools in place. We've talked about that with Wilson Contreras. Who is helping the catchers right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who is making the players that you do have better? And it's not like the Cardinals aren't outspending the Tampa Bay Rays or the Baltimore Orioles or the Miami Marlins, who have the second, third, and fourth best records in Major League Baseball. The Diamondbacks have the sixth best record. Reds are seventh. So it isn't like just spending money equates to victories. But the players that you choose have to be maximized. And that's one question I have. And Martin asked John Mozeliak about Oli Marmol and his staff.
Yeah, I don't think the coaches have any fault in this. They're handed to players. It's unfortunately it didn't work. But I think Oli and his group do a really good job. They work really hard, and they continue to do that. But I think their level of frustration is probably as real as the fan base.
And I would suggest that if the Cardinals are 24th defensively in a metric that they use in defensive runs saved, if they're 24th at minus 17, then it's either the players that they were handed, which would be John Mozeliak indicting himself, or it's the coaching staff. Somebody has to be the reason that the Cardinals are not as good as they have been historically defensively.
And somebody texted in from the 618, which is something that we keep talking about. Games aren't played on paper. So yes, on paper. And I think and he even points out in the interview with Martin a little bit later on that, people predicted this team to do better than what it has performed. So once again, on paper, all these guys, you would think that it would come together, but something is not coming together in this group, or at least clicking on a consistent basis. And that calls into question a lot of things.
It's on the players. It's the players that you bring in. It's the players' performance on the field. I don't know. There are, again, I've said this time and time again, as a coach, I can call the perfect play, but if my player runs it incorrectly, it's not going to work. And then I can call a terrible play, and one of my guys makes a hell of a play, and it's like, I'm one of the best coaches in the world. It's not about me. Once you're in between those lines, it's the guys on the field that have to make those plays, and it's the simple things. So then it'd be
the person that brought him in.
It would be the person that brought him in, and it's the players on the field. If I go over, and coaches are crazy in terms of their preparation. Really good coaches. Most coaches, because that's the only way you stay and keep your job. You talked about it. The players in baseball, they get to sleep in a little bit, right? Because they play at night. The coaches are there at the ballpark early, preparing, ready for the next day, ready for that day, ready for the game. And so the amount of hours that are put in pre-game, post-game, and during the game as a coach, it can be extremely frustrating when your guys aren't performing to the level that you expect them to, and you're not winning games.
And then you wonder what happens with a guy like Nolan Arenado? Why has he declined as precipitously as he has from one year to the next? Is he hurt? Is the focus on his fundamentals, has that diminished? Why has he fallen off? Why are so many Cardinal players, I'll say that Nolan Gorman has advanced and gotten better this year. I don't think that Dylan Carlson has gotten better. I don't think that DeYoung has gotten better, even though you'd think that a little bit. I don't think that Goldschmidt has gotten better. I don't think that Contreras has gotten better. I'm trying to think of position players.
Tommy Edman has been outstanding, I think.
But not nearly as good as he was last year.
Well, in center field.
Close.
In center field.
Yeah,
he's been. I like seeing him there.
But then you even see what happens when he's like a center fielder for a little bit and they put him back on second base, and some of like that adjustment
forgets.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, if it's on the players, then there needs to be massive turnover, like maybe 6 new starting players next year for the Cardinals. Otherwise, you have to hope that somehow they find a way to make themselves better.
Yeah.
They need to. And maybe that's where the money needs to go towards, is figuring out a way to maximize the most out of these players.
One guy who played great fundamental baseball, David Eckstein, was the MVP of the 2006 World Series. It's Champions Week here on 101 ESPN, and we're going to talk to one of those champions next on 101 ESPN.
Down as Eckstein jumps it over to third. Tough play for Inge. Base hit at the stadium tonight. 2-0 pitch. Eckstein lines one into left, and it's a 3-1 game. Eckstein will dig for second as he delivers with 2 out. Off the end of the bat into right center field. Granderson falls down and won't make the play. Eckstein will cruise around second and hold at second. Eckstein flies one into left. Monroe is not going to get it. And the Cardinals lead it 5-4.
With Brooke Grimsley and Kerry Davis, I'm Randy Carricker. It's Champions Week here on 101 ESPN, and one of our favorite champions is the MVP of the 2006 World Series, David Eckstein, who joins us now here on 101 ESPN, the Cardinals shortstop for those great Cardinal teams at 05 and 06, and then was also with the Cardinals in 07. David Eckstein, Randy Carricker, great to have you with us. Good morning. How you doing?
Doing well. I appreciate it for having me on.
Hey, as a two-time world champion, you know what it takes to win. If you could describe in a sentence or a paragraph what made that Cardinal team so good that allowed them to win the World Series in 06, what would it be?
I think the biggest thing was that we got healthy for the postseason because we were the best team through May in the major leagues, and all of a sudden we got injured. And, coming off of, I wasn't there in 04, but what they did in 04, then in 05, in 05 was a little bit of a letdown, losing to the Astros. And so I think we were just prime ready to go. And then basically walking into San Diego for the first time with the regular season lineup, from earlier on, and everyone got healthy and at the right time. And, in the playoffs, you have days off, which you can recover. And it was just, we finally were able to pull it all back together.
So, David, during that stretch in the summer of 06, was that belief still in the clubhouse? What was the feeling in the clubhouse during that time that you guys, were you expecting that result at the end of 06?
Well, I can tell you this, personally, my thing was we were going to be having the largest lead in Major League history to lose and not make the playoffs. So that I can tell you, I don't know what the other guys were feeling, but I was definitely feeling that. And it was such a relief, when the Braves beat the Astros and during that final game on that Sunday that we actually got in. So I think it was more relief. As opposed to belief at that point in time, because we would have gone down in history as the largest choke in baseball.
David, you talked about the 05 season and the letdown. You all had the best record in baseball. You lose in the NLCS to the Astros. What was that offseason like in preparation for the 2006 season?
To be honest, like you sit there and after. It's kind of crazy. After winning in 02 with the Angels, you feel like every time you step into a postseason, you're going to win.
Yeah.
And it's like a month of like you're just like don't want to talk to anybody. You feel like you've let the city down, and it was one of those things that you just felt so bad because, like you said, we were the best team going in to the playoffs, and so I think we had something to prove the following year. And you wanted to get back out there to be able to do it. And, we proved it the first 2 months of the season. And then after that, it was like, hold on, it's going to be a wild ride.
Hey, can you tell us when they told you that you were the World Series MVP, what was your emotion? How did you react?
It was truly like unreal because when you play to win the championship, the World Series. And so it was just something that was just like a cherry on top. And I can promise you at the time, it really didn't sink in. And because because all you cared about was the team and stuff like that. Now, since retired, you know what I mean? It means a whole heck of a lot more, especially when you go to do stuff and be introduced. But at the moment,
yes.
if you look at my face, I think you can see the exhaustion because you go from the highest of stresses and immediately when Wainwright throws that ball to Inge to relief, and you're so like, okay, I can finally relax. And if you see, I'm sitting on the car, you can see my reaction. It's like, oh my gosh.
David, what do you make of the current state of the Cardinals, and would there be any advice that you would give these players now?
Yeah, I was very fortunate. I was able to go on and be part of the London series. So I got to be a part and see, some of the players and, the coaches and the executives and stuff like that. And the thing about it is it's a long season. They're very fortunate to be in the division that they're in, and so it's one of those things, people need to stay healthy, but you never know. And then you just got to keep grinding. I was talking to Tommy Edmonds, we had 2 8-game losing streaks during the 06 series. And it's like one of those things is like you can't think about the past. You can't put yourself in the future. You just got to stay in that day to day. And that the only thing that matters is that game to day. Because if you start looking at how far ahead the Reds in Milwaukee are right now, you're chasing the wrong thing. You just got to compete against yourself every day. And that's why I say stay focused on today.
David, you talked about the highs and the lows of a regular season, of a playoff run. Can you describe the stress levels associated with that playoff, with any playoff run where where the expectations are extremely high for the team?
Yeah, my big joke is like if only games were postseason, I'd still be playing because it's where you get that high. And so you actually love it. Because you prepare yourself for the highest level of stress, and the highest level of stress is the postseason. And the best thing about postseason is no one cares about your stats. All they care about, did you win the game or lose? And so like it was something that like, especially my type of game where it was more team oriented as opposed to focusing on myself to get my numbers. It was I had the most fun, and that's why I was saying you go into almost a depression after you lose because you put so much onto it, and you expect to win.
David Eckstein, the 2006 World Series MVP, with us on 101 ESPN. You were undrafted, and you did, as you mentioned, the little things that turn into big things. And it's not only not making errors, but it's making the plays that you are expected to make. Where did that come from? Because that was really the reason you made it, right? Was because you did the little things.
Well, I was very fortunate early on. My parents instilled in me, you're always going to work hard when you step on the field. My dad always told me you're never going to be the biggest, you're never going to be the fastest, and you're never going to be the strongest. But what you can do is outwork everybody. And then growing up as a kid, we had a coach that only focused on the fundamentals of the game. It was playing catch. We weren't allowed to bring our bats to practice. And so, I truly learned the game at a understanding where everyone's supposed to be a responsibility, your responsibility on defense, and then just making the routine play. Because even in the big leagues, 90% of all the balls are the routine plays. Because everybody that comes up always asks me, oh my gosh, how hard was it playing in the big leagues? I go, the great plays you see maybe twice a month, where it's really outside your range, and I go, it's the ability to make the play every day. And that was instilled in me at a very young age, and the proper technique. And I said, and definitely that was the only reason why I was able to make it in the big leagues.
And with that being said, as you watch the game now, and it's amazing that it's 15 years later, 16 years later, but if you had a bunch of guys that played the way that you do, it seems to me, David, that the other team inevitably is going to do something to lose the game. If you play the game where you don't give it away, you're going to come out on top.
And you're starting to see that. It goes back to when I was a little kid. We modeled our offense on what made us nervous on defense. And now with all these new rules, you're starting to see a lot more steals, a lot more action within the game, and it's actually exposing teams that don't know that doesn't have the fundamentals to play the game the right way. And so I think the game's kind of going back to that, and I'm hoping it is, because like you said, if you have guys that understand the game and understand where they're supposed to be with these new rule changes, I think they're at an advantage over other clubs.
I was reading about life after baseball for you and how you put your wife Ashley's dreams first, where she has a women's sci-fi clothing line. How is that going?
That is good. So we were very fortunate at the end of 2016 to actually sell it to Hot Topic. She still consults for Hot Topic, and the brand is Her Universe. But we're very excited to announce as well that now she has her own label at Disney. So she designed Ashley Eckstein. So she has her hands in multiple facets of the design. And the thing about it is, as you know, once you run the company and you're handling the day-to-day, you actually lose a little bit of the creativity and design because you're worrying about other stuff. And now she's had the opportunity to go back to her roots of designing clothes. So, yeah, she's very excited.
And obviously, and we hear the PSAs that you do with your family's history with kidney problems. How's the family doing?
Everyone's doing really well. Yeah, the kidneys that my sisters and my brother have are holding tight. So that's very good. And then my nephew, who received one back in 2018, is doing well. And so we'll have a couple more transplants coming up here in the future with a couple nephews. And so, but yeah, everything's going well. Yeah, I work with Mid-America Transplant for fansforlife.org. And we're hopefully getting the word out to go sign up to be an organ donor and just try to help out.
David Eckstein, we always love hearing your voice, and you are renowned here in St. Louis. You'll always be one of ours because of that World Series, and you're such a good guy. Thanks so much for taking the time with us and reminiscing today.
Oh, my gosh, I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Take care. One of the all-time Cardinal favorites, David Eckstein, with us on Champions Week on 101 ESPN, 2006 World Series Most Valuable Player.
Awesome. And the part that he said, when I'm introduced, when you introduce, always.
Yes. No doubt about it.
Yes.
Do we need a fighter? You can text in to 314-399-9646. That would be 314-399-YO-HO. Just give us a nice going there, Matthew.
Good job, Matt. Good job, Rock.
Yep.
Full team effort.
It sure was.
About damn time.
Your name and the word fight, and perhaps you'll be the fighter next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here. This summer, I'm taking up a new hobby, one that I know will last a lifetime, and that is golfing. And I'm learning at the best spot in town. That is Family Golf and Learning Center. I've always wanted to learn how to golf, but was really intimidated, and I didn't really know where to even start. But after my first couple of lessons with RJ, Melissa, and just the wonderful staff over at Family Golf and Learning Center, I was actually able to hit it straight, and most importantly, just feel comfortable out there. I even went out the other day, and RJ just really took the time to break things down for me and just give me some homework. And that's what they do there at Family Golf and Learning Center. With several pros on staff, they have the ability to help anyone with their golf game. Like if you're like me, just starting out, or you want to improve your game. They provide a friendly and encouraging practice experience for the individual and for the family. All abilities and ages are welcome. So join me on this golf journey today. For more information, go to familygolfonline.com. Learn, practice, play your best golf.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Yesterday in the 93rd Midsummer Classic, the National League over the American League 3-2. It's their first win since 2012. Nolan Arenado, the lone appearance for a Cardinal in the All-Star game. He starts at third base and he goes 0 for 2 in the game. Cardinals back in action on Friday evening, starting a series against the Washington Nationals. But you don't got to wait that long for a St. Louis team to be back in action tonight, 9:30 p.m. Central Time. St. Louis City SC is in LA to face off against LAFC. Coming up later on at 9:30, Lutz Pfannenstiel, sporting director for St. Louis City SC, joins Carey, Brooke, and Randy. Coming up at 8:45, 2011 World Series champion Kyle McClellan joins the show. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back to the opening drive. I'm Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley, a hilarious Brooke Grimsley.
Sometimes.
It is
Only
time
sometimes.
for the fight, and our fighter today is Greg. Greg, how you doing?
Guys, how y'all doing?
Good.
Doing well. Are you ready to take on Randy Carricker?
Absolutely. Let's get it.
All right, here we go. With which NL franchise did John Mozeliak start his baseball career? Is it the Baltimore Orioles, the Colorado Rockies, or the Cincinnati Reds?
Man. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Orioles.
Which of the four major sports players union was founded first? The NHL, Major League Baseball, or NBA?
NBA.
On this day in 1979, this AL franchise held Disco Demolition Night, which led to a riot that canceled the second game of a doubleheader. Which team was it? Was it the Cleveland Indians, the Pittsburgh Pirates, or the Chicago White Sox?
Chicago White Sox.
Which Western Conference skater beat out Jordan Bennington for the Calder Trophy in 2018-19? Was it Elias Pettersson, Rasmus Dahlin, or Quinn Hughes?
Dahlin.
All right, we'll double check our score and we will bring in Randy Carricker.
What?
I couldn't see what number he put up. We normally check scores. But since we have cameras in here, we have to be
very
covert
secretive, yes,
with our hand signals now so no one can see what's going on. Greg, how you feeling?
I feel pretty good about the third one. The other 1, 2, and 4, I'm not so sure, but we'll see.
All right. Well, we'll see if Randy's. You look good today, Randy. You going to play golf?
A little golf today. Yeah,
I can always tell.
Yesterday. What gave it away? Was it the golf shirt, the pants? I don't know.
Looks wonderful.
Thank you.
You're ready to go play. You look good. You play good. Deion said you play good. They pay good.
Oh yeah.
I like that.
All right. Say hello to Greg.
Greg, good morning. How you doing?
Hey, good, Randy. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for playing. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Randy, here we go.
Okay.
With which NL franchise did John Mozeliak start his baseball career?
He was a member of Walt Jocketty's staff at the Colorado Rockies.
Oh.
Which of the four major sports players union was founded first?
Marvin Miller and the Major League Baseball Players Association back in the 60s. Kurt Flood, Steve Carlton, all of that stuff.
On this day in 1979, this AL franchise had held Disco Demolition Night, which led to a riot that canceled the second game of a doubleheader.
St. Louis and Dave Phillips was the umpire of that game in Chicago with the White Sox. In fact, that's the title of his book, something in the outfield. But Disco Demolition was bad. And by the way, little side note, did you ever watch the documentary on the Bee Gees?
No.
Disco Demolition Night ruined the Bee Gees.
What?
Yeah.
Is that when disco is dead? Is that when that started?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Why?
Because, and I was fine with disco. I loved the Bee Gees music, but this Steve Dahl, a DJ in Chicago, decided that he didn't like disco, and he got people to actively hate the music and the people who made the music.
What? Disco is great. Bee Gees, that was my parents' favorite.
Yeah, great stuff. I love the Bee Gees too. But yeah, it's a great documentary about the Bee Gees and about how they were so affected by Disco Demolition Night. White Sox, Dave Phillips, yeah.
What's your answer?
The White Sox.
Oh, okay, just making sure. I didn't want to pass that up.
I was taking notes on this Bee Gees documentary over
You
here.
gotta check it out. Let me hold on here. There's two things that we need to do here. Number one, Dave
I got
Phillips.
distracted.
It happens. Do we have any more questions? Or
Yeah, we got one more.
We have one more because there's typically four. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Which Western Conference skater beat out Jordan Binnington for the Calder Trophy in the 2018-19 season?
I will do the lifeline there.
Okay. Elias Pettersson?
Yes.
Do
Yeah, that's it. That's who.
you want me to keep
No, you
going?
don't need to go anymore.
Oh.
That's it. That's who it was.
Randy, you got the options, but you only needed one of them?
Well, yeah.
Alrighty then.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works out for him. It is a one-question win. No need for a tie today. We have a winner in today's fight. On a hump day, was it more of a bump day for Randy Carricker and Megamind? Did Greg come in for a win, or does Megamind roll on through the midweek? Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Just win, baby.
That just happened. If you ain't first, you're last.
By the way, the name of the book is Centerfield on Fire.
It's a book?
If you saw me laughing, it's because Rocc looked like he touched a button and it burned his hand.
My hotkey button wasn't up, and then I pressed it, and I was like, oh, God. Randy Carricker wins the fight. It's a 3-2 win, Greg. So close, but unfortunately, Randy Carricker only needed one option in the fourth one, and that's where he got you.
Bummer. Yeah, I thought it was a bloodbath. I thought so.
Yeah, hey, no, he only beat you by one. We're going to go through the answers here. Which NL franchise did John Mozeliak start his baseball career? It was with the Colorado Rockies. His entrance into baseball, by the way, was because he knew a good fly fishing spot, and then they needed a lefty to throw batting practice, and Dante Bichette really liked John Mozeliak.
Nothing wrong with that.
And now you have the 2023 St. Louis Cardinals. Wow. Which of the four major sports players unions was founded first? It's surprising, but in 1954, the NBAPA was founded 12 years before Major League Baseball officially unionized. On this day in 1979, it was in fact a fire in center field. Is that what he said? He said center field on fire. Center field was in fact on fire in Comiskey Park when the White Sox hosted the Tigers, and unfortunately it got them canceled on Disco Demolition Night.
By the way, Tony La Russa, the manager of the White Sox.
There you go. And which Western Conference skater beat out Jordan Binnington for the Calder Trophy in 2018-19? It was in fact Elias Pettersson. Randy Carricker wins this fight 3-2. Greg, thank you so much for joining the fight and joining the show today.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you very much. And Brooke, the documentary is called "How Can You Mend a Broken Heart?" Made in 2020, and you can watch it on YouTube. Actually,
I was kind of hoping for like a cooler documentary name.
I think that's I know that's the name of one of their songs.
So, not Disco is dead.
Fascinating thing about the Bee Gees and disco. If you like Nirvana, every single one of the drum beats is stolen from disco music. Very randomly, but yeah, Dave Grohl has come out and said he's like, I'm not a good drummer. He goes, I just jacked like Gap Band and Bee Gees drum kicks to play Nirvana songs. Like Smells Like Teen Spirit. That's a Gap Band kick to open. That's it. The man just stole disco and put it in a bunch of grunge music. It's fantastic.
No, Nirvana song.
Oh Jesus, Carrie. Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah, no.
You didn't like Nirvana?
I don't know who that. I don't know a song.
Are you serious?
I would have
yes,
to hear
you would.
it.
If you heard a song, you would know Nirvana.
I don't know.
Carrie, I break out Trey songs for you earlier this week, and you can't even give me Nirvana.
If you give me the song, I probably would sing along, but I don't know it.
All right, we'll work on it in the break.
All right,
Coming up on 101 ESPN as we continue Champions Week, our buddy Kyle McClellan, who was a key member of the 2011 World Champions, joins us here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you want to improve your short game, then I got an idea for you. It's a celebrity green from Clubhouse Turf here in St. Louis. And what they'll do is put a synthetic green in your backyard, and it really is incredible. It rolls like real grass, and you will have a spot in your backyard where you can practice everything. You can practice putting and chipping your short game, and you can improve your scores of your golf game very easily in your backyard all the time. So here's what you need to do. Get in touch with my friends at Clubhouse Turf, at clubhouseturf.com. Give them a call at 314-834-2343, 314-834-2343. And whether you want to recreate a replica like the 12th at Augusta or maybe the 16th at TPC at Scottsdale, you can have the perfect green for you in your backyard, and your scores will go down, and you'll be able to beat your buddies because you've got that green in your backyard. And by the way, it's entertaining for everybody in your family, and it's a great entertaining thing too. It's Celebrity Greens, 314-834-2343. Clubhouse Turf, St. Louis exclusive partner of Celebrity Greens.
The opening drive on 101 ESPN, brought to you by Sumner One.
Freeze hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow night. In the air to left, well hit. Back is Craig. What a team. What a ride. The Cardinals are world champs in 2011.
Champions Week on 101 ESPN's opening drive with Brooke Grimsley and Super Bowl champ Kerry Davis. I'm Randy Carricker, and a huge part of the Cardinals winning in 2011 was the St. Louis and the Hazelwood West product. One of the great guys in St. Louis, Kyle McClellan, who joins us now on the Celebrity Line on 101 ESPN. Kyle, I'm glad that we do a morning show because I know afternoons and evenings are taken up by practice for you. So I'm glad that you're with us. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Everything's terrific. I want to start with this because you have your big event, Brace for Impact 46, and it is an amazing philanthropic organization that you and your wife helm here in St. Louis. And in September, you have your big gala, which is one of the best in St. Louis. How can people get involved? Tell us about the Brace for Impact Gala.
Yeah, we're actually ramping up big time. My wife and I put a ton of work into planning this with our event planner, and we're working on it heavy right now. But yeah, September 9th at the Four Seasons, and it's I think our fourth one. We had during COVID, we had to do one virtually, but our fourth one in person. Every year, it's just been better and better. And really, it's just a night that we get to really dive deep into the work that we do. We get to have somebody from the work that we do in North City come and share their story and the impact that it's having on their lives with their family. Also try to bring Haiti to the people through videos, and our doctor from Haiti always comes up and is there as well. And so it's a great night. Last year we raised over $550,000 a night, which is, just such a big part of the funding that we do all year for both of our programs. So it's a huge night. We've always had a great turnout and always have a lot of celebrities in the house as well.
Thanks for what you do. Okay, my other two first questions, that one and then 2011. Do you often look at your World Series ring?
I don't often just go look at it, but I do when I do, when I have signings or I have things around, I do like to wear it a lot because the fans want to see it, and I do, I especially like when kids get the opportunity to see it, and because that's what it's about, right? All the kids that are playing baseball or whether it's football, basketball, whatever it is, they all are playing right now with the dream of winning a Super Bowl or winning a World Series. And so just to kind of bring that to reality for people and say, hey, this, it can happen. Somebody's got to win it every year, right? Why not be you? Why not be on the roster? And why not you be on the winning team?
Kyle, does it feel like it's been, 12 years now? Is that, Does it feel like it's been that long since you were on that field winning that championship?
Yeah, it feels longer, actually. 12 years actually sounds like, man, that's not too long ago. I said something. My son had his first football practice yesterday, and I walked out. He was at my parents' house. I picked him up. He's all got not full pads, but got his pants on and his helmet and everything. And I walked out, and I told my mom, I said, man, doesn't that seem like, I started running through my head, 20 years ago? And then my son says, well, how old are you? I said, no, it was a lot longer than 20 years ago, buddy. So you start losing track of time. But it seems like a lot longer than 12 years, that's for sure.
Kyle, in your opinion, what makes up a championship-style team? Like, if you're putting in the ingredients for the recipe, what makes a championship team?
Oh, man. So when I first signed with the Cardinals, I went down to Johnson City, and there was a gentleman by the name of George Kissel, who I'm sure a lot of people know, was there. And I remember sitting there going, holy cow, George Kissel is here in Johnson City, Tennessee. It was kind of wild to me. And as he was there for 5 or 6 days, they kind of come and go. And we came from behind in a game, and he looked at me. I was sitting on the bench by him. He looked at me and he said, you know the recipe for a good team? And I said, no, but I'd love to hear your thought on it because I'm just been here for a couple days. And he said, a good team can always come from behind. And I've held on to that my daughter's team this year had a great come behind win, and I used that afterwards. Like, hey, good teams can come from behind. They don't get down. And obviously that team in 11, we were able to come from behind. And that's just something I've always learned, from George Kissel, one of my first couple days of professional ball. And as you watch it, it plays out pretty well. Teams that can come from behind are usually, some of your better teams that can do it consistently, or, don't get worried and don't just get behind and give up. They fight back and they can find ways to win a few games throughout the year coming from behind.
Kyle, what happened between August and September that allowed the Cardinals to go on that run in 2011?
Man, I wish I knew because I would sell that to a lot of different, teams and organizations and general managers. But I just think, obviously everybody points to the meeting, right? Everybody points to the meeting that we had with Chris Carpenter. And I don't know if it was the meeting or what, but it did kind of take the pressure off. I think we were putting so much pressure on after the deadline. We made some trades and, it just wasn't working out. And Carp essentially just said, look, guys, like we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the fans. We owe it to the organization. We owe it to our family. Forget about everything else. Let's just come out and play and let's see what happens. And I don't know. We're all major league players. Does a team meeting really make a difference? It's hard to say. Everybody's out there giving their best every time. I will say there's been probably 2 times in my entire career where you get on a roll. And there's games, and the Cardinals could probably tell you that right now, the current Cardinals, there's games where you look at, and there's stretches where you look at and you say, somehow we're going to lose this game. I don't know how, but somehow we're going to lose it. And we had a stretch there where we knew we were going to win. When you walked into the field, it's a great feeling, and it doesn't happen very often. But when we walked in the field in the month of September, I knew we were going to win. And it wasn't going to be Albert Pujols was going to win it for us. It wasn't going to be Chris Carpenter was going to throw a shutout to win it for us. Somebody was going to step up to win, and it was going to come together. If we gave up 4 in the first inning, nobody's panicking. Everybody's like, hey, we're going to win. And when you have that belief and that feeling and then it actually happens, man, it's tough to beat you at that point. Just the pressure's off and you know it's going to happen and you're not pressing. And we had that all the way through the entire postseason. And it's a feeling that I've never had outside of that stretch there, and one I'll never forget for sure.
Wow. Kyle, I want to go back to that meeting because from my understanding, it wasn't a typical baseball team meeting, right? Carpenter had everybody over to his house. It wasn't in the clubhouse or anything, right?
No, it was in the clubhouse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was your typical clubhouse meeting, and they might have had another one. I wasn't invited to his house. So Carp wasn't one to. If it was at his house, I guarantee you it was the top dogs, and you had to have about 10 years or more to be invited to that meeting to go to his house.
But he was also a guy that when he spoke, people listened.
100%, and that's look. People ask all the time. This year, what do you think's going on with the current team? And I said, I don't know, but I know one thing. They don't have a Chris Carpenter in that locker room. And Chris Carpenter was a guy that, you just, when you saw him in the hallway, you tiptoed around him. When he just walked around, there was this huge bubble of respect and accountability. And, you knew he was judging you because maybe, and then you're like, man, did I not lift hard enough today? He's staring at me and I know he just lifted his butt off. Maybe I need to go back in there and get some more reps in. And that's just, Carp was a guy that, he was a great leader. When I look back at my career, one of the guys that I've learned the most from is probably Chris Carpenter, but he did it in a way that just scared the crap out of everybody, and it kept everybody in line, and he had a standard, and you better meet his standard, or you aren't going to be there long.
Kyle, you talked about pressure or teams pressing. I feel like this Cardinals team is doing that right now. They're under pressure, and they are pressing at times. How do you alleviate that? How do you alleviate that from happening when you're in the middle of it?
It's hard, right? Like you want to interject and you want to try to be the one to fix it. There was a game earlier I referenced to somebody, in the organization. I was watching on TV. It's the 9th inning. And they got a 1-run lead, maybe a 2-run lead. Either way, they got a lead in the 9th inning. And before the inning started, the pitching coach made a trip to the mound. And I'm sitting there thinking, and it was in a stretch when they were losing a bunch, and it's like, man, when have you ever seen that happen? And so maybe it was a pinch hitter, right? And they're going out to give the scouting report. Well, when you're in the bullpen warming up before you come in, you know who the pinch hitter is going to be. There's no surprise on that. It's like, okay, hey, you're at this hitter. They're probably going to pinch hit so-and-so. And so you're prepared for that. You've had the meetings. You've done that. And so just that type of thing, it kind of stood out to me. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a pitching coach run out there to tell the pitcher something before the inning even starts. And so those types of things start happening. When you're rolling and you're doing good, that stuff's not happening, right? So it's just you try to interject a little bit, maybe too much, and that's because you're feeling it, right? You're like, we got to win this. We got to hold the lead. So, what can we absolutely do to do it instead of just letting guys go out there and do it? And, everybody's trying to figure out, the right solution and the right words to say. And when you're rolling, nobody ever thinks about that.
Well, that kind of leads into what I was going to ask you, Kyle. Back when you were pitching for the Cardinals, was there a pitching philosophy that they had or implemented? And how did you mesh that with your own style of pitching?
Yeah, we had a philosophy from the day I was drafted. Dave Duncan had his philosophy in the minor league system. So, anchor guy down in the zone, and so from my first day in Johnson City in 2002, that's what I learned. And so when I got to the big leagues, I was already groomed and able to do all the things that Dave Duncan wanted me to do, and that's why I was able to not only get to the big leagues but stay there once I got there. And it's so different now. Now it started transitioning towards the end of my career. You started seeing guys grip 4-seam fastballs, get on their back leg and drive as hard as they could and throw to the top of the zone. If I was in today's game, I'd have to figure out how to throw 96 somehow, or I would make it. Like, I wouldn't even be a prospect or have a chance because, I was a 89, 93 guy at the bottom of the zone with movement. And when I saw Dakota Hudson got sent down because he was throwing 88 to 92 in spring training, and they said that's just not going to work here, I was like, oh man, that gives me anxiety. That was my whole career. I thought sometimes I wish I could throw 88. I was sitting 86, 87 towards the end, but it's just a different style, different philosophy, and they have that in the system that guys are working on from the get go. But for me, it was helpful that Duncan had his philosophy all the way down to rookie ball, and I was able to work on it for 6 years until I got to the big leagues. Kyle, one last thing. As of this morning, there have been 23,010 people in history that have donned a major league uniform. You are one of them. Since 1876, there have only been 23,000 of all of the billions of men that have walked the earth, and so many fewer than that have won a World Series. What's it like for you to know that you are one of those people? Yeah, that's a crazy stat. Like you think about that doesn't even fill up just over half of Busch Stadium. Right. If you take all the guys that have played, and that's wild. I don't know. I don't really have an answer to that. It's a cool stat. Sometimes you kind of look back and you're like, you kind of forget. Man, it was so hard to get there. And with the draft the other day, somebody was texting me, and I said, you got to realize 4% of these kids are going to make it to the big leagues. That's two people per draft class. Of that, 4% that makes it, 4% of that is going to make it to salary arbitration, which is 3 years or more in the major leagues. I mean, the numbers are just mind-blowing and crazy. And so sometimes when you look back at it, you're like, man, I can't believe that everything lined up. I was able to make it. I got lucky. There was opportunities that came up here and there that if I don't have, I don't ever make it, So you get lucky, you put in the hard work, and when the opportunity comes there, you don't let it go, and you ride it as long as you can. And it's crazy to look back and think of those numbers, but I'm thankful for the time. And now, I get to put my time into other kids. And my dream now is that I get to be a part of somebody's life or career that gets to make it next, and I was a part of pouring into them and through my kids' teams and all the kids that I come around, throughout the season. So hopefully I can add to that number in the future. A champion on the field and exquisite a champion off the field as well. Kyle, always good to hear your voice. It's always good to see you. Have a great rest of the summer, and we'll talk soon. All right, appreciate it. Thanks, guys. See you. That's Kyle McClellan, former Cardinal pitcher on 101 ESPN. On Champions Week, he was a member of the 2011 World Champions. Coming up, more from Martin Kilcoyne's interview with John Mozeliak last night on Fox 2 here on 101 ESPN.
Hey, I want you to know about Mentality. I'm going to make my way over there today. And Mentality is a great local company. It's a clinic that restores the testosterone level in guys that need it. And if you're beyond the age of 30, you need it. There's no better safe and insured medical solution available, regardless of most medical conditions. And when you go to Mentality, they're going to find out where your testosterone level is and then restore it to levels from when you were younger. Now, what does testosterone do? It helps reduce fatigue and moodiness and irritability, and it helps increase energy and motivation. Some of the things that you had when you were younger that have gone away, and you might think, oh, it's just because I'm older. It's not necessarily just because you were older. It's because you are suffering from a loss of testosterone. Well, pretty much everything at Mentality is covered by insurance, so they'll work with your insurance company. Stop by one of their clinics, Chesterfield and South County, and just start the process of getting your energy level back. Start by going to lowtusa.com, find out, make an appointment, and get going. As so many in St. Louis have, get your energy level back. Get the you want to be back by going to Mentality.
So we're not necessarily like waving the white flag, but all decisions or all moves we do really will try to set us up for next year.
That is Cardinal Pobo John Mozeliak with Martin Kilcoyne last night on Fox 2. And for as much as I disagree with a lot of the things the Cardinals have done, I 100% agree with that philosophy. And I've said that here on this air. I think everything that the Cardinals do from here until the end of this season, until the start of spring training next year, should be geared towards being great in 2024. And he says they're not waving the white flag. I will do that for them. They aren't winning this year. And so they should do everything they can to make themselves better for 2024.
Well, Randy, you made a bet last time when the Blues were down and out. Do you want to put another bet on the other line? I mean, you got another shoulder. You put a Cardinal birds on a bat.
Yeah, I'll do that.
On the other shoulder.
Yeah,
if they win the World Series this year, you'll get a Cardinals tattoo on the other other shoulder.
Sure, yeah, that's it.
Terry, thank you so much. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. Who will be the 2023 Cardinals? Jordan Binnington.
Cardinals win the World Series. I'll take this one.
It's on the YouTube machine now.
What do I get if they don't?
I don't know. What would you like?
We'll have to think about this.
Here, you might have walked into something.
Now, here's an interesting thing, okay? Because sometimes things change. And something changed. Here is John Mozeliak talking about the Cardinals in free agency at the winter warm-up during MLK weekend in January.
You know, I think a lot of people had us like connected to the shortstop market, the starting pitching market, and candidly, we really weren't all that active in that. Now, that might be a strategic mistake, and you know, in hindsight, 6 months from now or a year from now, we can look back at that and say, okay, we probably should have. Or, you know, our hope is that we are right, and it won't be something that we regret.
Okay, so candidly, we weren't that active in the starting pitching market. But maybe 6 months later, that'll be something that we'll look at with 2020 hindsight. Here we are 6 months later, and it's not just looking back, but, well, here's Mo from his interview with Marty.
Why weren't you guys more aggressive in terms of adding pitching?
Well, a couple of reasons. Some of the pitchers that we did chase, we just weren't able to get done. And then the other was we really wanted to give some of these guys an opportunity. And you know, when you're trying to give your internal guys, I think the hindsight is probably should have had some depth, though, to cover for it.
So I wonder how engaged the Cardinals really were, because he said, candidly, we weren't that involved in the market in January. Now it's, well, we just couldn't close the deals with guys now that we're in July.
And that's the thing, is that he even admits that maybe you, in hindsight, you need that depth. And that's what I was talking about earlier, is that they were completely fine with competition amongst the players in so many other positions, but not with the starting pitchers. And this is the situation you're in, where you were too reliant on certain players that have not really shown you exactly that much to be fully reliant on.
I'm wondering which pitchers he's referring to when he said, guys we went after, but we weren't able to get the deals done. I want to know, are we talking about Jose Quintana, or are we talking about Justin Verlander? Max Scherzer, who are we referring to when we say we couldn't get it done? Like, what's the name?
And it could
because
be
that
something,
matters, right?
Yeah, it does. But it could be something as simple as, and I truly believe that the Cardinals misread the market and might have called Justin Verlander's representative and said, what'll it take to get JV? And they said, well, we're going to get $43 million from the Mets. And the Cardinals, whoa, we can't do that.
Yeah.
I would have to believe that even a guy like Evaldi, who signed late, and that is Brooks' 2020 hindsight guy, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And we admit it, right? It's 2020 hindsight. But I would think that even Evaldi, with the late signing of him by the Rangers, I would think that even he is a guy that was out of the Cardinals' price range when he ultimately did sign. You think you're going to get a bargain guy, and he doesn't wind up being a bargain. Now, he's an all-star. He's a really good player, but I just think that the Cardinals probably were not in that market financially.
Do you even expect bargain guys with starting pitching anymore?
You shouldn't. That's where I think they misread the market.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't even think that that's even an excuse, because, I mean, everybody with eyeballs can see what the starting pitching market is now. So I don't even think that you even look for bargain guys. It's whatever works in your system and filling those deficiencies that you know that you already have in your starting rotation, which is what we're seeing right now, where you have a lot of the same guys. You have guys that you're dependent on who have dealt with injuries over the years, where you don't know what you're fully going to expect to see this season. And this is my concern. So now, as Mo said, you're looking ahead to 2024. You have to fix the starting rotation. I think that's very clear. Do you feel like, though, say that you fix the starting rotation this offseason?
Fix the starting rotation this offseason.
Is that going to solve all the other issues that we've seen this season with the Cardinals, you believe?
I think that's a hell of a way to start. I think the lineup, when they are in the same spots, playing every single day, gaining that continuity, I think the lineup is going to be okay. I think we have we talked about it yesterday. You got guys on this team, your core guys, a lot of teams would love to have on their roster, in their lineup every single day. The issue has been starting pitching, which leads to trouble in the middle relief and long relief bullpen areas. And then you got 16, 18, 19 blown saves. It has been pitching at all levels for this team this season, and that's why they are where they are.
I have real questions about whether or not just getting the starting pitchers will solve the problem, for a couple of reasons. Number one, they do need to play much better defense. And whether that's being better drilled defensively, or having better defensive players, or maybe just having healthy defensive players, to make your starting pitching as good as it can be, you're going to have better defense. And the other problem that I think the Cardinals have is they had to bench Wilson Contreras 30 games into the season because Andrew Kisner knew the pitchers better. So if you have 4 new starting pitchers next year,
well, no World Baseball Classic, right?
That's a big problem.
No World Baseball.
Von Herrera knows them really well.
Well, there you go. So I just wonder if the Cardinals are looking at that situation. Maybe Herrera is the guy. Maybe they can fix the problems there. But I believe that if they get their starting pitchers, which they need, and they should sign 4, especially based on what he just said, protecting young guys, not taking for granted the guys are going to be good or healthy. So you go out and sign 4 starting pitchers. Then you've got to fix the defense behind those pitchers.
How about 4? I mean, how about 2 and then bring 2 guys up? Between Graceffo, McGreevy, Liberatore, one of those,
ready.
2 of those 3.
I only want 1. I want 1. So
You don't want 2 of them?
Well,
not in the rotation.
And especially this offseason, you might have to move one of them.
Yeah, right.
So
to get your number 1.
How about what do you think they should be starting a relief role? Those guys, those younger guys.
That's
would that
not
be
a
more
bad
beneficial?
idea at all.
That'll help kind of what we talked about earlier with molding young talent and allowing them to learn from veteran players how to be a starter at some point.
Adam Wainwright did
bullpen.
Yeah, it worked out really well for Adam Wainwright. So I think that's a good idea. But what you need to do, you've got Michaelis and a rookie, okay? You get a number 1. You get a legit number 1, and then you have to fill in for Montgomery and Flaherty. And I'm not counting on Steven Matz. Steven Matz can be one of those insurance guys for me. I love Steven Matz, but I don't want him to be a guy that I have penned into my starting rotation to start 2024.
Steven Matz could be one of those guys, a 5th starter that helps mold the younger guys,
Protects
that
them.
helps to get those younger guys information into how to be a starting pitcher.
Yeah.
And if he performs well, he gets to stay in that role.
Right.
It's a win-win for everyone.
Can never have too many starting pitchers. That's Carrie. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up, we want to hear from you. What do you think of the responses of John Mozeliak in this interview with Martin Kilcoyne? We've got your text line open, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! You can always leave a mic drop with the 101 ESPN app as well. You are next on 101 ESPN.
It's here, the humidity, the scorching, sweaty temps, the high temps forcing your AC into overdrive, leading to sky-high energy bills. The solution? New windows from my friends at Window Nation. Save thousands today with no money down, no payments, and pay no interest for 2 years plus. Window Nation will give you 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. Get a pair of cards tickets with a purchase of a house of windows. Protect and increase the value of your home today. Call 866-90-NATION or go online at windownation.com. Did you know that new windows can save you up to 30% on your energy bills? It can increase the value of your home by $12,000 and give you those jealous neighbors. If your windows are sticky, drafty, cracked, hard to open or close, well, then you need new windows, and Window Nation is there for you. They have installed nearly 2 million windows with a 96% satisfaction rate, making them one of the top window companies in the country. The average installer has over 16 years of experience with 20,000 windows installed. Remember, you get 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. Call 866-90-NATION or go online at windownation.com.
101 ESPN. Brought to you by Sumner One.
Listening to Mo talk, I think that's a real problem, because how come all the fans could see what was lacking and he couldn't? He thought that he put together a good team. We said from the very beginning, where's the pitching?
Janet, you're 100% right. Janet with the mic drop here on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Carrie, and Randy. An interesting interview that Martin Kilcoyne did with John Mozeliak last night on Fox 2, and you'll be able to see that on their website. By the way, Cotterville Chris texts in and says, the only words I wanted to hear from Mo is, I'm firing myself. Martin also did tweet that he texted with Bill DeWitt Jr., the Cardinals chairman, and Bill DeWitt said, he, Mo, has an impressive track record, and I fully support him, which is why I signed him to a 2-year extension, which he will fulfill. That takes you through 24 and 25. So if you want to get rid of Mo, the owner is saying no, not getting rid of Mo. Pobo Mo. No.
Mo won't go.
No.
No Mo.
No Mo Pobo. It works. It works.
But here's the thing, and I do think that the Cardinals need to have, and I'm not saying that they need to replace John Mozeliak, because I do agree that he has a good resume and a good track record. But I also believe that the Cardinals need to have some fresh ideas. And maybe that's something as simple as promoting a guy like Randy Flores into more than just doing the drafting, because he's done a magnificent job with the draft. But maybe just get another voice in there to talk about your major league team.
Why not?
An outside voice?
Yeah.
A voice from a different organization?
I think that would be great.
Somewhere, figure out something that allows you to, if you're drafting well but not developing well, then that's a problem. If you can recognize which guys are going to be really good, but then when they get here, they're not good enough, and then they go somewhere else, and then they are good as you had projected them to be, that's a problem. You have to figure out a way. Development is is the key components to a successful organization. You can have all of the potential in the world. Potential is a dangerous and scary word for me, because it really means you got the potential, you got the talent, but it hasn't been fulfilled yet. You haven't shown it.
Yeah, I think it's French for you've never done it before.
There you go. I think that's correct. And so it's a dangerous word when you talk about how much potential someone has. When they have potential, you have to be able to develop that person to be a professional athlete, no matter what the sport is, so that they can be comfortable with the everyday rigors of playing that position, playing that sport, and knowing how to be successful.
I think that, too, some of the best coaches in all sports are able to develop their players, and having the right people in place with the players that you have, that is only going to make them more successful, where we're not having this discussion about how much money you might have wasted on a player. You didn't give a player full potential, because if you have the right people in place that can fully develop a player into where it's more than just potential, I think that also adds to it, where that should be something that should be looked into, is making sure that all the right people are in place.
Well, and here's an alarming thing, if you're a Cardinal fan, is Mozeliak says that Marmol and his staff have done nothing wrong. And DeWitt says Mozeliak is great. Well,
somebody's wrong.
So why are we 14 games under 500 then? If the manager and coaches have done nothing wrong, and the person who's bringing in the players
who built the roster
done nothing wrong, and we're 14 games under, what are we supposed to take from this? That's the best they can do?
I would hope not.
What major changes have happened from last season to this season in terms of players? Personnel.
No Yachty, no Pujols.
No Yachty, no Pujols. Okay.
Well, and then even Pujols, it was second half Pujols.
But Yachty wasn't here the entire time.
Adam Wainwright was performing better.
So you got 3 players.
Yeah, Flaherty really wasn't.
Yeah.
You got,
but the
majority of the guys are
Jose Quintana and Montgomery were brought in at the deadline.
I'm just trying to figure out what major changes to this roster, because I will always say the players have to perform better. I've been on terrible teams. I can tell you my coaches spent hours upon hours upon hours of preparing us. we weren't good enough or we just didn't perform well enough. And that's when it's frustrating because guys have a track record. It's not potential that we're talking about. These guys have track records of having success. And right now they have not had the success that we are accustomed to seeing this Cardinals baseball team have.
That, to me, is the big thing that the Cardinals need to answer. Is it that the players aren't good enough or they aren't being prepared well enough to go out and win games? I fall on the side of the Cardinals players having enough talent to win with, but the talent isn't being maximized.
And then you had Maddox leave. You had Skip, who is also part of your coaching staff, leave. And Maddox, obviously a lot of experience, and then he goes over to the Rangers, and even Jeff Albert leaving. So that's a pretty big amount of turnover that you had with the coaching staff, and you were expecting Matt Holliday to be a part of your coaching staff this season. I think it's a culmination of all those changes happening at once. I feel like definitely could affect the team, and preparation-wise could affect the players too when they're used to some of those faces who have been there for a while.
100%. That's Brooke. That's Carrie. I'm Randy. The St. Louis City SC side is in L.A. to take on LAFC tonight, and the director of sport for St. Louis City SC, our buddy Lutz Pfannenstiel, joins us next on 101 ESPN. Hey, I want you to know about Chesterfield Fence and Deck, celebrating 55 years in business here in St. Louis. They've been one of the top names in home improvement in St. Louis with a commitment to put quality and professionalism first in everything they do. At Chesterfield Fence and Deck, they're going to provide the best and longest-lasting outdoor products available with skilled installation teams who carry out their mission to be the very best in customer service and quality craftsmanship. I got my fence from Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Love it. It was described to me as a lifetime product, and it has been a lifetime product. It still looks fantastic. And at Chesterfield Fence and Deck, you can either head on out to their showroom in Chesterfield, or you can have them stop by the house, and they'll provide you a free, no-obligation project design and show you what their fences and decks look like. They also do a great job with sunrooms and screen rooms and pergolas. Whatever you want in terms of an outdoor project is available for you at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. Everything has a 5-year warranty. And if you mention the opening drive, mention Randy, you get 48 months of interest-free financing on your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Call 800-300-4054 or go to chesterfieldfence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The National League yesterday with a 3-2 win over the AL, their first win in the All-Star game since 2012. Nolan Arenado, Cardinals third baseman, started at third base and went 0 for 2 in the game. Cardinals back in action on Friday evening. They start a series against the Nationals. Tonight, though, St. Louis City SC faces off against LAFC in an MLS match. It's a 9:30 kickoff. St. Louis City SC looking for their 13th win in just their 22nd match of the season. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
We believe in an organic growth. We believe in sustainability. I think that is the most important. And looking at, for example, Joachim Nilsson coming soon back, that's for us one of the best defenders in the league without any doubt. We're all excited to get another absolute leader on the field, which will make us better and which also increases the competition. There is nobody there who believes he's second string. Sam Adinirain comes back and he bangs 2 goals in, which creates competitiveness within the squad. And I think we are very, very happy about that.
That is the director of sport for St. Louis City SC, Lutz Pfannenstiel, talking about the transfer window and how the St. Louis City SC side has done such a magnificent job of promoting from within and developing their own talent. Brooke Grimsley, Kerry Davis, Randy Carricker. And we go to the celebrity line now, and Lutz Pfannenstiel joins us on this day that St. Louis City SC will visit LAFC. St. Louis City SC leading the Western Conference with 38 points, LAFC with 33 going into tonight's match. Lutz, it's always good to talk to you. How are you doing this morning in LA?
Yeah, very well. Thank you very much. Sunshine. Beautiful city, all good.
Randy didn't give you the proper introduction, so we'll try that again. Hello, Lutz.
Good morning.
There we go.
Well, let's start with this as you traverse this schedule, and this is a tough part of the schedule. What are your expectations for your club in tonight's match?
Yeah, I think just to not just again to look at the table and be happy and think, wow, we have so many points already. I think that's a game where you have to grind and fight and bite and scratch. It's LAFC without any doubt the best squad when it comes to quality, when it comes to individual quality in the country. Current champions, a big list of things what they're doing very well. But we also know that the last few games, or since the Champions League exit, they did struggle a bit. It's normal. They physically and mentally are a little bit tired. And I think mentally and physically we are right now at a high. So we're definitely here to give them a good game. And I really believe that, we're coming back to match day 1 when there was LAFC was one of the big favorites and we were the big outsider, the big underdog. And I think that's what is the truth about the game today. We are the underdog and LAFC is the favorite. So let's come and get us.
Lutz, you guys have had, it seems like, a new hero arise in just about every win that you've had. Despite losing some of your stars in Leuven and Klaus, you're still having these young guys make the most of their opportunities. Recently, it was AZ Jackson. And, for him to be able to come up, how big is that? And also, is it a testament to show how big the MLS Next Pro program can be for players?
Yeah, the idea was always, I said that from the one, we want to have a very hungry team, and also our guys, which have a bit of the bigger names, that also were guys which were hungry. So, of course, the youngsters in the squad, they're burning to get out there. They're working hard every session. You're watching lots of them. There's always some fire. There's always a good atmosphere and a good vibe in it. And AC is a guy, he plays some exciting football. He's very motivated. Quick feet, exciting to watch, but he's also a hard worker. And when we saw him last year against us in the Next Pro, he was the one who actually caught my eye very early on when they beat us actually in St. Louis when we were really tired that game. I remember that very well, and he was outstanding. So we worked very hard from early on to get him in. And it took him a few games, actually, to get into the starting lineup, but he never gave up. He worked hard, and the last 2 games, he somehow really, I had the feeling that he rewarded himself for all the hard work he put in, and he's a bit of a fan favorite as well, I think, because he plays that exciting football. So that just, for us, is that kind of proof after 21 games that we do have a good depth, as much as depth is possible in an MLS team with all the rules and regulations. But these 20, 21-year-olds who coming on and really working their socks off, that's what we're looking for, and it pays off.
You talk about the depth, and obviously you never want to have, as much time as you've had without Leuven and without Klaus. But are those younger guys starting to get settled in their roles and what is expected of them? You all are on a 3-game winning streak. So are they starting to get more settled in their roles day to day?
Yeah, 100%. It's also the nerves are gone. The confidence is becoming more and more. And as we do have a style where I think the physique and the heart plays a very, very big part. It's not just about playing the most beautiful football. It's about to work for each other, to have each other's backs. And I think that is something what we really proved so far. When somebody does come on, he stands up for his position. He stands up for his injured teammate. And it worked out so far. But again, today LAFC, that's a different kettle of fish, I would say. They are so big, they are so rich, they have so many top players. They are somehow flying in a different hemisphere than we normally would, and we're playing away from home. So my expectations are there. Go out there, work hard, enjoy yourselves. We will have lots of youngsters on the field again, and the big pressure today is definitely not on us. They had a horrible time in the last few weeks, and that means that they need to win this game much more than we need to win it, and that can work for us.
Lutz Pfannenstiel, Director of Sport for St. Louis City SC, and Lutz, with Nilsson coming back and Leuven and eventually Klaus, you have the transfer window open until August 2nd. How important is it, or is it important at all, for you to go out and utilize the transfer window with the knowledge that those players are returning?
Yeah, it's more about not making any panic signing exactly on that positions. We are 100% sure that, actually Edu is in the squad today, so, we are nearly there. Joachim Nilsson is training really well, so he's waiting now for the next few moments, I would say, to get his return in. And Klaus looks better and better every day, so these boys will be back definitely towards the start of the MLS again, the restart. So of course we do monitor and we do look at certain strengthening in certain positions, but we're not going to replace and bring in Edu 1, Edu 2, Edu 3, Klaus 2, Klaus 3. That will just kill the atmosphere and the vibe in the squad. So when we do something, it needs to be strategically smart to get players who make us better on the long term. And not just, I like to use the word quick fix. We don't want that.
We've been talking a lot about the players, but how impressed have you been with Bradley Cardinal and his ability to continue to get the message through to all the players?
Yeah, I'm very impressed. It's his first year as a head coach, so it's definitely something special. Like he runs the locker room in a way that he has done it for many, many years, which is, of course, a very important part. But the playing style, the philosophy we have, the idea about the DNA of the club is that everybody is the same. We don't really just have all our, relying on 1 or 2 or 3 guys. It's all about the big group. And to manage that, manage expectations, get everybody on the field, give everybody minutes. That's, I think, the big secret. Keep the squad happy, keep the players interested, keep the players happy, keep the players burning every day. And I think that's something the whole coaching staff, of course, with Bradley on top, is doing really well.
Lutz, I know you all are in the middle of your season, and at times you are so focused on what City has to do. But do you ever take a look at the landscape of MLS and see, you got, I don't think we've spoken since Messi signed with Inter Miami. Have you looked at that and how that can impact MLS in a positive way?
Yeah, of course. It's my job to literally have 18 eyes and look at everything. I only have 16, unfortunately, so I missed a few things. But now Miami, of course, you can't really miss that, to be honest. When everybody talks about Messi, it's definitely a big moment for the league, to be honest. Messi is not just another world-class player who has been at the top. I mean, he's one of probably the best players ever. Probably he is the best player ever. And for him coming in, I think the whole MLS will get a massive push. Miami, of course, will also get a little bit better, which is important for them. But it is huge. It is something, I think, which the generations to come, youngsters all over the country, I think it just will promote the game of soccer tremendously. And I'm really, really happy that he come. I'm also really, really happy that he's not playing on Saturday when they're coming to the league. I wish Miami all the magic in the season, but only after our matchup.
There you go. Lutz, it's always great to have you on the show. Thanks so much. It's great to hear your voice. Good luck tonight against LAFC, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Lutz. Lutz Pfannenstiel, he is the director of sport for St. Louis City SC, and they are on a roll. By the way, and we'll talk to Lutz about this. I wonder how big analytics are in MLS. They lead, St. Louis City SC does, in goal differential in the whole league. They don't have the most points, but I wonder how much depth there is to the analytics that they use in soccer. I'm intrigued to find that out. So we'll ask him next time he's on. Coming up, we've got Rocc and Roll here on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Kerry, and if you're dealing with pain, I've got some great news for you. My friend Dr. Sheen can help you. The older we get, the more pain our bodies can feel, and, just from sleeping, walking, running, jogging, whatever the case may be, our bodies can start to feel pain, knees, elbows, shoulders. For me, it's been my elbows, and I thought I'd have to deal with that pain until I met Dr. Sheen, and he taught me about PBM. What is PBM? Glad you asked. It's called photobiomodulation. Big word, easy explanation. It's light therapy that helps you heal. The light stimulates cells in the damaged area, which allows your body to heal itself faster, decreases inflammation, and it helps eliminate pain and discomfort. Even after my first treatment of my elbow, it started feeling so much better than it has in the past. I haven't had elbow issues in some time because of the PBM. My physical therapist told me about the inflammation and how much less he noticed in my elbows, and I am doing so much better. Almost as good as I was 10 to 15 years ago. And if you want to feel like you did 10, 15 years ago, check out Dr. Sheen today online at thesvi.com. That's thesvi.com.
by Sumner One.
I want to rock. And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
101 ESPN has your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to next Tuesday night's Budweiser Bash for the Cardinals and the Marlins. Next week's Bud Bash game features a limited edition Brad Thompson bobblehead. Text in now, 314-399-9646 to win the Budweiser Bash tickets for the Cardinals versus the Marlins. We'll have the question for you in just a moment. You can get all the details on this season's series of Budweiser Bash Cardinals games now at cardinals.com/promotions. Okay, Brad Thompson, obviously very famous, 5 years with the Cardinals, World Series champ, pretty awesome. Brad Thompson also was on an episode of ER.
He's also a famous actor?
Yes, he is. Who hit the home run off of Brad Thompson in the episode of ER that he appeared in. Texter number, let's go with texter number 16. Texter number 16 will win the tickets for the Budweiser Bash. If you can answer the question, which hitter hit the home run off of Brad Thompson in the episode of ER that he appeared in?
I feel like I learned something new about BT almost every day. There's so much lore there. He's like an onion.
A lot of layers?
Well,
yeah.
Here's the thing.
Layers, not smelly.
No.
Yeah, okay, just checking.
Try this, because we're already on the YouTube, okay?
On the tube, okay.
Yep. Just type in Puppy Kickers MLB debut.
There is really no need.
Puppy Kickers.
There's really no need to Google that.
I'm going to do it anyways.
Randy?
MLB. Yeah. Puppy Kickers MLB
I don't think you have to do that.
You don't have to, but it's kind of funny.
You probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
You love BT. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
He misspoke.
Yes, he
misremembered.
Yeah. Look, what do you find in there? What do you find in there?
The first video that comes up is Puppy Kickers debut.
And who is it?
Oh, my goodness.
It looks like BT.
It kind of is.
Puppy Kickers debut. Look. Look.
Terrible. Come on. What are we doing here?
Randy, did you put that video up there?
I did not. No, I wish I would have. All right, so
you wish you would have.
I wish it would have been me. Yeah.
I mean, you get paid for YouTube hits and likes, so you would have got.
Yeah.
You'd have got a lot of money.
I don't want to torture BT.
No, good.
Well, BT is number one, as I've mentioned to him many times, and I use that stat with Kyle McClellan today. There's only been 23,000 people that suited up, and fewer than that, way fewer than that, have won a world championship and pitched in playoffs and World Series. BT is one of those guys.
This is such a good text. You can call him an onion, just don't call him coleslaw.
Yeah. But also, what was it that you said to him in the clubhouse that one day when we ran into him when we went to the Cardinals game where you were trying to make him feel better? I forgot what it was.
I don't know, but he was good. He was a good pitcher. I liked him. He was next Greg Maddux. Oh, was it 57 2/3 scoreless innings in the minors?
Yes, that's what it was.
I always use that one.
Yeah,
to bring him back.
Yeah,
bring him back to
if you go. If you say, BT, if you're with somebody and you introduce them, you say BT had 57 consecutive scoreless innings in the minors. He'll say, well, 57 2/3, but who's counting?
Clearly, you are.
Hey, 2 outs are a big deal in a relief pitcher's life. Don't short him those two.
Set a record.
Get out of here, guys. Adam Schefter is reporting. Sources have told him that they've decided the league's Hard Knocks team for this next season.
Yeah, cool.
And it's the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. We're going to hone in on that storyline because we haven't heard enough about it. And we're going to get a New York Jets team for the second time in the history of Hard Knocks. The first time being when they were under
Let's go get Mike and snack.
One of my good friends was on that Hard Knocks when they cut him. He went. It went. What is it called? Viral. It wasn't viral at the time, but he's on one of the
Turk episodes.
The best of the best Hard Knocks. He made that. So
him getting fired?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. How he responded. My boy JD.
How did he respond?
It wasn't. It's probably not safe for work, but
no, really?
Yeah, he let him know what he felt about it. Yeah. My guy played at Illinois with me from St. Louis.
Do you agree with
Jason
Davis?
Yeah, I've been in that room. I've sat, and so I told you this earlier. I have never watched an entire season of Hard Knocks.
Even like once they
no.
Okay.
Wow. I lived that. I got cut more than enough times to not need to rehash that memory. You know how much trauma is associated with that?
Fair amount.
We were on with Rand Carthon. He told you we were at Applebee's trying not to get cut.
That's true, yeah.
What the hell we doing? We're sitting here till midnight just panicking and no phone call. Okay, we might be okay. All right. Yeah, there's a sheer fear associated with that.
I can't imagine then having to rewatch it.
Yeah. It's definitely, I hear it too. It's an echo.
Hello.
Oh, is it?
Hello.
It's
Hello.
my YouTube, I think.
Oh, there
I
you
didn't mean to do it. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why the volume was up anyways.
Hello, echo.
Now people get to go around and see.
It was Carrie's, by the way. It was Carrie's, by the way. It was Carrie's, yeah.
Oh.
No way.
Sorry,
I ain't touch anything.
It was your sound was up. There's no need to worry about it. Other news coming across Twitter. This is really cool. Good for St. Louis. A effort is being put together by St. Louis, including Bill DeWitt, Tom Stillman, Brett Hall, and a bunch of other big NHL names, as Twitter is now wanting to load for me. And they're trying to bring the World Juniors through St. Louis in the future. I think that's fantastic. When you look at all the youth hockey players that have come through St. Louis, the way that youth hockey has taken over this city in a lot of ways, I think it makes complete sense to get the World Juniors here.
Agreed.
Why not?
Do it.
They've tried
Let's
before,
do
and
it.
Buffalo got it for some reason. Buffalo. So yeah,
It's colder there, I guess. I don't know.
Buffalo's a nice city. They're fine people.
Yeah.
They donate
cold, though.
really well.
But
when
you know
you're,
what? They
when you
only
have a
got it because they
cause.
were close to Toronto. So we would fill up the building for the World Juniors. It'd be awesome. Yes. Buildings.
Yes.
That'd be great. Thank you, Matthew.
Pleasure, Randy.
That's our producer and audio engineer, Matthew Rocchio.
Fixing our audio issue that we just had a minute ago.
Yeah. So taking care of Hump Day for us. Brooke, this has been a fun Hump Day.
Yes, it has.
So we learned a lot today, didn't we? I almost called you BT.
You did almost call me BT. I kind of look like him. I mean, I can see the similarities.
Yeah.
So similar. People on YouTube can now see how similar you guys look.
Look like twins.
CD. BTCD. And we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of this show. Chris Herbert coming up. He's got a little balloon party for you in for McKernan or us?
Us. I'm not sure who it is at this point.
For all of us until tomorrow at 7. Have a great Hump Day, everyone.
That's right.
The warm St. Louis summer heat has arrived, and if you haven't had your air conditioner tuned up yet, you need to get in touch with Hoffman Brothers. When's the last time you had that air filter changed in your air conditioner? A friendly reminder from Hoffman Brothers that now's the time to get that tune-up scheduled. Don't wait until it stops working. The maintenance on your air conditioner once a year is just as important as oil changes in your car. Call today or schedule online at hoffmanbros.com. Hoffman Brothers is an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, and they'll do great work for you. You can call them, and the number is 314-664-3011, or you can just go to their website, Hoffman Bros, HOFFMANN, hoffmanbros.com. And not only do they do great work on your air conditioner, but they're experts at plumbing and electrical and anything that you need done with an appliance in your house. They can fix it. They've done it for us, and they'll do it for you at Hoffman Brothers. Again, Hoffman Brothers on the web at hoffmanbros.com, or give them a call to schedule that appointment for your air conditioner today, 314-664